Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to Alien Addict on this fine and flat-out evening. And it's a very flat evening because we're going to be like talking about something that's very smooth. And that's Antarctica. Without further ado, though, I want to bring on, first of all, my number one partner in crime, the bearded wonder, Lee. Must see audio, my lad.
Howdy. I just tried a quick thing to try and sort my hair out slightly.
It looks great.
I look like being electrocuted.
I like it. I don't like it. I love it. And speaking of loving it, you had your most popular show now on Spotify is with tonight's guest.
Yep.
Sasha, otherwise known as Orphan Red. Orphan Red, welcome to Alien Addict. How does it feel that you since Lee's changed hosts, your show that you did with Must See Audio it's trending?
I'm delighted to hear that. I didn't know. That's wonderful.
It's the most popular show I've had so far on the new host, because I'm stupid as well, and I never record numbers, so I don't remember what the old ones were. But right now, on Anchor, slap bang at the top.
Nice.
Beautiful. I thoroughly enjoyed that show. And
one of my favorites, genuinely one of my favorites. Like, there's very few Must See Audio shows with on average, it's been like 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. Very rarely has a Must See Audio show gone 4 hours without it feeling boring. I think it was great.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
It was an excellent show, and you guys, you can go check out Must See Audio in the description if you want to go check out that show, and obviously check out Orphan Red. But Orphan Red, Sasha, introduce yourself and what you do on your channel without getting me killed by YouTube.
Okay, so
get ready with that Wikipedia link below.
Yes, sadly, but I do conspiracy theory videos. And for a while, I was doing Sunday night live streams just to kind of chat with the community. And I specialize in two things. One, I'm trying to offer something that's different from what's already on there. So I put my own little weird humorous spin. And my whole... the underlying philosophy of my channel is, how do you distinguish between what you know to be true and what you simply believe to be true? So that's what I do on my channel in a really weird way, but it's changing. I'm always trying to figure out new things. So,
and to give people a good hint, we will say it probably after the 5-minute mark, but here's kind of the hint, people, to what Sasha's about. That was going to be the thumbnail.
That's terrible.
He looks like a waiter.
He does, but like an assistant waiter.
So I will say this. So myself, and I said this on the show with you, Sasha. We had some debates back and forth, friendly debates, because guess what, people. We can have a difference in opinion on somebody else's beliefs, but still get on like a house on fire.
No, impossible. If the internet has proven anything to us, it's that we should judge everybody on face value by the first thing they say to us.
And set them on fire if they disagree with you.
100%.
But I would say this, you are not the typical... the typical flat earther, because you do believe there's a moon up there. You do believe we talked about meteorites and things like that. Am I right by saying you think Earth is bigger than what they are. There's something past Antarctica, and it's not the other side of Antarctica.
Yes, I do think that there are lands beyond Antarctica. But I will say, I don't think it's fair to say that I'm not the typical person who engages in discussions about the shape of the world, because I think the media has put out a straw man, a typical flat land person, and they've characterized them as poorly educated, extremely religious, very gullible, and that's just not true of the typical person who is challenging mainstream ideas about the shape of the earth. A lot of people, I've come to realize, are secretly questioning the shape of the earth, but they will never say so publicly because of the ridicule. But even amongst the people who will say it publicly, it's just not true that that stereotype that the mainstream is pushing on you is in any way representative. I mean, there is a certain portion of the community, but I think we talked about this last time. In the same way that you can go to Flecka Talks on YouTube and you can see people who know that the Earth is a globe, but don't know how many dimes there are in a dollar, or don't know how many months there are in a year. Does that mean that you can use their stupidity to prove that the globe is not the real shape of the earth, because they also believe that to be true, right? So I can point at someone who's low IQ, who's maybe a fundamentalist of any religion, and they'll be a glober. They'll believe that the earth is a globe. So I think that presenting someone stupid and saying, because they're stupid and they believe this, therefore that's wrong, you can't do that. And the media does that for conspiracy theories, right? They'll do the same for conspiracy theories about other things, right? They'll find someone who lives in their basement with their mom and they're overweight, and they'll present that as the kind of person that believes in this. But there are a lot of overweight people who live in the basements of their mother's houses who believe that the earth is a globe, who believe the mainstream narrative, right? So
And on the other side of it, there is a lot of doctors that go to the gym 6-7 times a week, that are stacked and are intelligent, that know they or at least believe in a certain conspiracy theory.
When did this all start for you, Sasha? When what was the turning point when you thought, what I'm being told about where I live is not right?
I had become disillusioned with science through my own graduate studies work, and I had learned enough about statistics at the graduate level that I knew how easily it is to manipulate statistics and get those published. And I had learned about the decline effect, which is when, even if you look at pharmaceutical studies, medical studies, they find a publishable result to prove that something works. And then if you try to replicate that study, you don't find the effect. And there isn't a really good explanation for why that is. And so I had started realizing that a lot of what I had taken on blind faith, because science had told me that this was true, that a lot of it wasn't actually true. And so when I came across things like flight paths that don't work well on the globe, they don't make a lot of sense. Like if you're going from the Middle East, or I think it's South Africa, you go through the Middle East and then you go over to South America. There's some weird flight emergencies where the plane has to stop for an emergency and the path that the plane is on doesn't make sense on the globe. And so I kind of came across those that said, hey, look how much better they work on a flat plane. So then
it's just the flight paths.
Well, that was the first thing where I thought, that's a bit odd. What is my explanation for that? How do I account for the fact that these flight paths don't actually seem to make much sense on a globe? And I'm just the type of person, I have terrible insomnia. So that was enough to start to send me down, because I wanted to find the answer. Why does it not make sense? Why are they taking these weird paths? And then the more you look into the globe, I think I went at it from a scientific perspective, which is always this is your null hypothesis, and you try to find evidence to either disprove the null hypothesis, and then it doesn't prove the opposite. It just means that your null hypothesis is not true. So the null hypothesis, right, is that the world is a globe. So if you start finding evidence that contradicts some of that data or some of that model, then you have to reject that hypothesis that the world is a globe. It doesn't tell you what to believe. It just tells you, well, I can no longer believe that the world is a globe because I have this evidence that contradicts that model.
I will say this. I mean, I said this on Musty Audio. I personally believe the world is a globe.
Yes.
And there's, you know, satellites and what have you, going at planets and aliens, not necessarily coming here from other planets. Could it be dimensional? Who knows? But I will say this, and I know a few flat earthers that in the community that I'm good friends with. You know, my best friend over here is a flat earther.
Who is he? Is he on YouTube?
No, he's not on YouTube. He's been on my channel before talking about aliens, but he's now a flat earther. Now, I do understand the whole flat earth thing, and I think it kind of comes from NASA, never a straight answer, and the whole UFO, all of the UFO community do not trust NASA. I would say the majority of the UFO community do not trust NASA. But the biggest struggle that I have with flat earth, and I think I mentioned this to you on Lee's show, is when it comes to meteorites, when it comes to the moon that has craters on it, like it's been hit by something. I don't know how you, and also if it's flat, for me the sun would never disappear. You know, from the model that I have seen, the model that you guys show, where you show the moon.
Not you guys. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry, can I just pop something quickly?
Yeah.
Just on the moon thing, because you might be able to answer this for me as well. It was only because you brought the craters up, and it's a good time to do it. One of the things that's always confused me with the moon is why the face that's the side that faces us is peppered with craters, but yet like the arse side of the Earth isn't peppered with craters as well. If the moon is like locked with the Earth, you would imagine that whatever impacts have constantly been hitting the moon would have hit the Earth at the same time. I don't know why. There might be a completely reasonable explanation for that, but it's always something that's popped in my head.
Well, you've got Jupiter for one. That if it wasn't for Jupiter,
no, but they've already peppered the moon.
Yeah, agreed. The moon is definitely peppered. It's peppered more on the dark side than it is on the side that faces us.
No, but the side that faces us is like a kid with acne. Like, you know, it's covered.
Not as bad as the dark side. The dark side is extremely peppered.
Mm-hmm. No, but I'm just about the side we can see.
I have a question for you both.
Mm-hmm.
The moon is tidally locked to the Earth in your model, right? Which means that the same side of the moon is always facing the Earth, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And all the craters that we see on the moon have hit at a perpendicular direction to the surface of the Earth. They're all direct shots. We don't see these huge skidding marks. We see these craters that are circular because they've been impacted.
Yeah.
So the moon's face that has been hit at a perpendicular angle direction by meteors
you're saying a better way of saying what I was trying to say.
Is tidally locked, is always facing the Earth. So the meteors have to go in between the Earth and the moon, and then shift
Straighten up.
so that they're a 90-degree angle to the surface of the moon between the Earth and the moon, and then smack into the moon. Does that not seem a bit odd to you?
No,
Well-
that's exactly what I was trying to say, but you've said it a much better way than I did.
I'm no words out. I'm no scientist, but
I don't think you have to be for that.
so Earth is this whatever this thing that my kids have left in here is. So there you go. You've got Earth and you've got the moon.
Yes.
Yeah. They are extreme. They're quite far apart.
239,000 miles.
If you imagine how our space shuttles, when we take that's just broken. When we take off, the argument that I've seen a few people make is, why do they always bend off like they're going into sea? Well, they got to get into a lunar orbit to get the speed up to get into an orbit and go around the Earth. So if you imagine, and this is just my way of thinking with this, Earth, moon, teacup asteroid, yeah, coming at Earth, maybe even at this angle, and it slingshots round.
This
moon
is amazing.
Hits the moon straight on.
Okay, so then the gravity of the Earth in your model, because the Earth has more mass, would be greater. So it would have a stronger attraction. So rather than the asteroids going up and around the Earth and then changing to a 90-degree angle in between the Earth and the moon, they would just smack into the back of the Earth. I'm sorry.
Well, some of them would hit. Some of them would definitely hit Earth, and they would. And with some of them, we're lucky that we've got an atmosphere, and it'll break it into pieces. But some of those little fuckers will, skid round the Earth and slingshot round, and then they'll go straight into the moon.
So they'll slingshot around
a
body that has more gravity.
I'm
and
really
they will
conscious
but
about.
then they'll directly hit the moon at a 90-degree angle. They're not going to skim off it. They're not going to angle off it. They're always going to be exactly, and not 90 degrees from some arbitrary reference point.
No, I'm not seeing every single one of them.
Our line of sight. They're 90 degrees from our line of sight, not from a different line of sight.
I get the frustration. I really do when it comes to the moon. Also, it is a weird little bastard, is that moon of ours. It's odd.
Yes.
Compared to, if you look at other moons, it's a miracle, that moon is. Sometimes it kind of makes me a little bit religious, does our moon, because I think we are definitely a little miracle. But I don't, on a flat model, I don't know why they would be craters. What would they be?
So this has come up a couple of times with people, and I've had someone lose their temper and just.
I will never lose my temper.
No,
especially not with such a beautiful young lady.
Oh,
Never.
Kind. But the idea that you have to know the why in order to accept that the theory you believe in is wrong, I think that that's incorrect. So the idea that you have to say, first tell me why the moon is as it is. Well, I don't think that we necessarily know the why of a lot of things. I think people use religion and scientism to fill in gaps, and they believe things that don't really make sense because it gives them an explanation for why, right? Like someone told me I never want to talk to flat earthers because they can't tell me why people would lie about the shape of the earth. And I thought, well, that's just absurd, because just because your limited understanding as a human can't come up with a reason for why that doesn't mean that it's not true. So I think there are a lot of mysteries about the moon in the standard model. And there's a double whack theory as well. If in order for the moon to be where it is and to be tidally locked, it has to have been hit twice in these very precise hits. And there's a whole book called Who Built the Moon by Christopher Knight, and it goes into all the strangeness about the moon. And it's like you said, you can call it a miracle or you can call it an oddity, but either way, the moon itself doesn't make sense in the standard model. And the reason you're given...
You asked me about showing me a model. Do you want to bring that up?
Sure.
I think the interesting thing as well, Orphan Red brings the model up, is the coincidence. Because I'd argue that miracles shouldn't happen in science. The thing is, I'm not a flat earther. I'm not given the... I'll be perfectly honest. Over the last few years, I have no fucking idea what anything is now.
I think you think it's a simulation, don't you, Lee?
No, because I don't believe in simulation because I believe there's a God. So I don't. Or if we're in simulation theory, I don't believe it's. I think we humanize it by just thinking it's a computer. We instantly think, oh, simulation must be a computer. If it's something, it's more advanced than what we have. I don't believe we're just a really advanced version of The Sims. Well, fuck! I forgot what I was going to say now. God. This disappeared. Sorry, carry on, Sasha. I was going to say something. I've forgotten it.
It'll come back to you. Just jump in when it does. Are you able to see that, or are you just seeing a black screen?
Black screen now. There was some for a second. There we go.
Oh, now you're seeing it. Okay, so I have to... Now are you seeing it?
No.
Nope.
Tell me when you're seeing it.
We're seeing it now.
Okay. So there are a lot of assumptions that people make. They think that you take the globe model and then you just switch out the shape of the Earth, and then that's the flat Earth model, because that's kind of what the mainstream has given you. And that's not actually correct. So in the flat Earth model that functions properly, the sun is smaller and closer, and there's evidence for that as well. And so that's why it's not daytime all over the Earth, because the sun has a smaller range that it lights up. And you can see in this nice little model that there is snow. So all around this outer ring, that would be Antarctica. And then there would be lands beyond this. And I'd like to show you something else, but I think I have to stop sharing and then start sharing again in order to present something different.
But that model, again, I mean, I know what you're saying, the sun is not as bright. If you're saying the sun is not as bright as they're saying it is, but for me, you would always see the sun no matter what on that model.
No, because, for example, let's say you have a flashlight and you put that flashlight up against a brick wall. The flashlight is not going to illuminate the entirety of the block. It's just going to illuminate a section of that brick wall. It's not going to illuminate the entirety of a city, right? If you can put up this image that I just shared.
Just one moment. We've got a super chat from Jennifer Siami in here. Why on a... Lee, help me out there. I cannot read that word.
Why on a transatlantic flight can I see the curve? I'll let Sasha answer.
Well, that's the hilarious question. And that's what shows I don't want to say the idiocy, but I think that the gullibility of humans in general, and I don't say that in a disparaging way. We've been brought up in a certain system and we just trust blind faith in whatever science or the mainstream tells us. You cannot see the curve on a transatlantic flight. I've flown back and forth to Europe multiple times over my life. And even Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is the high priest of the globe Earth model, he admits on TV publicly that you're not high enough off the surface of the Earth on a commercial flight, which flies at about 7 miles off the surface. So 7 miles up off of a planet with a radius of about 3,500 miles. you're not high enough up to see curvature.
Mhm.
Any curvature you see is a function of two things. One, it's a double paned glass, and so that's going to introduce some distortion. And two, you expect to see curvature.
Mhm.
And if you take pictures through your plane window when you're 1,000 feet up, and then take another picture when you're not 1,000, 1 mile up, or 1,000 feet up, and then again at 37,000 or 7 miles up, and then compare those images, you'll see the same distortion. And so it's just so, and I'm not just saying that as an individual. If you actually do the math, if you look at the science, if you ask a physicist and astrophysicist, they'll all admit in the mainstream model, like people who believe that the Earth is a globe, they'll tell you 7 miles up, you're not high enough up to be able to see any curvature.
What about the ones that you can pay for if you've got quite a bit of money? And you can go up in one of the jets, and you can see the curvature. You can always also experience weightlessness.
U2 spy plane. The weightlessness isn't
Yeah, that's
to
the
do with
drop, isn't it?
altitude.
Yeah,
That's to do with the drop.
Yeah.
U2 spy plane. You're supposedly supposed to be the curve. I don't know. Never been a U2 spy plane. I'm not even sure you can afford. I don't think you can pay to fly in one of those either.
No, one of my uncles had bought a ticket to go into outer space. I think it was Richard Branson who was selling them for a while, $100,000 per ticket, and it never materialized. I don't think they had the technology yet to be able to show what they
your
wanted.
uncle tried to buy a ticket?
He did buy one back in, I don't know if it was the 90s. Richard Branson had this.
I remember the Virgin Atlantic thing, the flights to space thing starting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it never materialized.
Sorry, Virgin Galactic. That was
Yes.
it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to click on the little image that I have set up?
Yes, thank you, Jennifer.
Jennifer, you weren't hallucinating. Like I said, it's distortion from the glass, but it's also expectation. It's very interesting what you'll see when you expect to see something. And if you want an example of that, just go online and Google optical illusions. You don't see what's out there. You see what your brain interprets as useful to you, useful for survival, and how it builds that visual image. It relies a lot on prior expectations, prior beliefs. So yeah, I have this nice little image.
Yeah, we can bring that up. Thank you very much, Jennifer. I will say this on the back of that before I bring the images up. I have been on many planes, and I will vouch for you there, Sasha. I've never seen a curve myself, and I have tried to look. I have tried to look. So that I have never seen.
And also, if you're on a plane and you look straight out your window, you see the horizon line, right? If you were on a globe that was so small that you could see curvature at 7 miles up, then you would see the ball basically going down beneath you. You wouldn't see the horizon coming up to eye level. You would see the horizon down there of the ball that's underneath the plane.
So is this what? So going back to the title of the video, is this what you're saying? Is beyond Antarctica? It's other land?
I think this is a model that I find interesting to consider.
I think in this particular situation as well, being on the, like Alien Addict YouTube, for me, that model explains like UFOs and extraterrestrials in a much more literally grounded way than intergalactic spaceflight would be.
Yes.
It could still be round then, but bigger.
No.
But I mean, it could be huge.
No, because then you have problems with the sun and the rotation of the sun and the speed of the rotation of the sun, right? And then you also have problems with measured distances over land.
Well, I think at that point, sorry, Ollie, at this point, when if you're willing to throw out like I mean, for want of better words, the fundamental like building block of what we're taught as children is where we are, like what we are, where we come from. I mean, at that point, anything, like if you throw that out, you can put anything in. You know, it could be fucking a much bigger Earth with multiple suns that we can only see through certain countries and stuff like that. And that's where I find it most interesting is that point where even if it's just for a thought experiment, just throw away all the images from the ISS are fake. I'll answer that. I'm not even a flat earther, and I know.
Sasha, what do you think all the images from space are fake?
I think all the ISS footage, that's hilariously fake, and it's badly faked. Like they're
inside hilarious.
But even the outside, I made a video about this. So they have these solar panels, right, out in space. And then they're attached to this aluminum body. But the thing is, all these different metals that the solar panels are made of and the aluminum, they all have different melting points, right? And freezing points. And so essentially, every time, and the ISS, we're told, I think it sees 97 sunrises a day, right? Because it goes around the Earth so many times. Mm-hmm. And so every time, because there's no atmosphere, there's nothing to act as a buffer for temperature, which means that when you're in sunlight in space, that radiant heat, there's nothing to make it a gradient. It's just, now you're, 300 degrees Celsius.
Now you're hot. Now right? You're cold.
And then as soon as you're in the shadow of the Earth, as soon as you cross that terminal line, you're in the shadow of the Earth, there's no gradual cooling off because there's no atmosphere to dissipate the heat. So now, now you're minus 300 degrees Celsius. And so that shift is so quick. And aluminum is going to expand in heat and contract in cold at a different rate than other metals. And so if you have a solar panel, which is made of all kinds of different materials and metals, and it's attached with platinum screws or titanium, screws to aluminum, all these things are just going to pop off and they're all just going to fall apart and tear apart because they're all expanding and contracting at different rates. And every time a metal expands and contracts, there's the risk of micro tears. And I have a video about this somewhere. These little tiny micro tears, they just occur in the metal as it expands and contracts. And after a certain amount of expansion and contraction, the metal just tears apart. And so the idea that you would have this combination of all these metals all soldered together, put together, screwed together, like the screws are expanding and contracting at a different rate from the material that they're screwing together. There's no way that would actually work. And there's no way it would work for longer than a few expansion and contractions. The solar panels would just slip right out of of the framing. And
well, I want to get,
I have a question that's on theme for this because I've never really heard it addressed by a flat earther. What do you think the ISS is then? Because there is something up there which is ISS shaped.
What do you think it is?
I've no idea because
it's 100% there.
I've no idea because
I've seen somebody film it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I believe there is something that's floating around. I don't believe the footage we see on board is real. That's my big thing. It's one, and that goes. I'm sure there's loads of people in the chat which are probably flaming this podcast right now that don't believe we went to the moon. So that's I don't understand how it could be such a great leap to go. We didn't go to the moon. Maybe if we fake going to the moon, maybe we're faking the ISS now. But that's what I don't understand is I don't get what it is. And maybe it's just better technology. Maybe it's better technology. Maybe it's got a different function to what we think it has. But I just want to know what you think it is.
Well, the ISS is roughly the same size as a large commercial plane.
Mm-hmm.
But a commercial plane flies at 7 miles up, and the ISS, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, 250 miles up.
Supposedly.
Right. Okay. So then the ISS should be 1/3 to 1/4 of the size of a commercial plane. So when a plane, if you don't live near an airport, because if you live near an airport, you're seeing planes as they're taking off and landing. So they're not at a 7-mile height from your eye. But if you live in between, like in the middle of, I don't know, middle America or the middle of the UK, nowhere near an airport, and you look up at the moon, count how many planes you see crossing the surface of the moon. Because if you can see the ISS in the sky above you as a light moving in the sky, even though it's on the night side of the Earth. So you have to think, okay, where is that light coming from that's bouncing off the ISS into my eye or into my telescope or to my camera? So the ISS is 1/3 the size of a plane. So you should be seeing planes that are 3 to 4 times larger than the ISS cross the surface of the moon or cross above you in the sky with their lights flashing. You don't see that, though. We don't see planes above us, right, that are 7 miles up, but you think you're seeing the ISS, which is 250 miles up. The math doesn't work out there. So I'm not telling you what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm telling you that the explanation that I'm given, the math
is not right. Can I just stop for 1 second, because I think it would be quite handy for people that are watching this right now and listen to it later on. Orphan Red, you did your master's degree in psychology.
Yes,
right?
An experimental psych. So not counseling psych, but experimental, doing the stats and the analyses. And
you're also a member of Mensa.
I'm a member of Mensa. So I score in the top 2% for intelligence in the global community, but my score actually places me in the top 1% for intelligence.
It's not the global community. You mean the flat community?
I'm talking to your audience, so
no, I just thought it would, like, for people in the comments. I just thought it would be that's good information for people to know that might just be commenting on stuff.
Oh, I'm not looking at the chat because I hate the
no. There's no horrible stuff going on in the chat. No. But I just want, because this is the thing I wanted to point out before, when in the preamble I did for Musty Audio, is that as we say about the conception that the media build for people is that people that believe in flat Earth are not intelligent, they're not educated, they're doing stuff wrong. And I just wanted to point out before we went too much further that we've got a very educated person on our hands.
See, I watch a lot of flat Earth videos. I told you this, Sasha, when you were on Musty Audio. It is my guilty pleasure, and there's a lot of flat earthers that I spoke to in the community. My best friend, he's a clever lad, but he believes it's flat. I don't believe it's flat. He believes it's flat. Am I more clever than him because I think it's round? No, we've just got a difference in opinion. But both of us don't trust NASA. So it's like I really, this is one thing I hate about the conspiracy community, is they attack one another for somebody not believing their beliefs. So I want to show my community that yes, I can get on perfectly well with somebody who believes the Earth is flat. I don't believe Earth is flat. Can we have a very grown-up debate about it? Yes, we can.
Yes.
But can we get just quickly to this question from the lovely Jennifer here? How do you know the sun is a globe?
Well, so I would actually say, how do you know the sun is a globe?
But that model you showed me, it looked like the moon and the sun are globular.
Right. So that's just a basic model that's been done to give the essential idea, right? The essential idea of a flat plane. and the North Pole is in the center, and Antarctica is the lands beyond the outer ring. But no, I'm serious. I would ask, how do you know that the sun is a globe?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I can't look at it long enough because I was always told not to look at the sun. Let's bring this back up because the title of the video is beyond Antarctica, and I find this quite fascinating. This belief of realms past Earth. So, is this a new thing within the flat Earth community, or is this something that has split the community? Because a lot of what I can see when I go through the flat Earth videos are literally bear me a second. Yeah, this. I don't have a model of it, but I can bring what tonight's thumbnail was gonna be.
Okay, let's see.
That's the model.
That's it. No, that's stupidity. That's idiocy. That's not flat Earth model. That's the mainstream that wants you to think flat Earth is stupid.
So within your community, are there? Do you think there is?
There's nobody in my community that believes that that's in any way a reasonable model of flat Earth.
Okay, so there's loads of videos showing that.
Yes, and they're all debunking flat Earth videos that show that, because that is absurd. It's stupid. It doesn't even make sense. Look at the continents. Like you that's like a Pac-Man Earth. You fall off one side and then you'd have to magically appear on the other.
But this that you're showing here, to me, is quite new.
Is it? Okay.
I mean, I've seen this before. I've seen the idea of this. I interviewed a guy called 007.
Absolute bell ends. Carry on.
That Lee loves. Lee, you interviewed him as well.
Yeah. I'm fucking absolute waste of 2 hours of my life. That man does not believe in anything. He doesn't believe in flat Earth. He
does believe in realms. He believes the same thing. He does believe the same thing.
The bullshit he believes. And I'm not saying what he says is bullshit. I'm saying what he says he believes is because he thought it would make him a famous YouTube channel.
Yes, there are a lot of those.
Yeah, he believes in absolutely nothing. I even had when he came on my podcast, I even organized to have a fact checker that was with me live, because I thought if he's going to throw stuff at me, I will have someone that can fact check it so we can actually discuss it. And she was absolutely unbelievably bored, to the point that, because we had a separate monitor up so she could type to me, so she could speak to me. She said, "I'm not doing anything. Can you just kill me to get me out of here?" And she was.
Him.
I wasn't as harsh. Now, if I'd have done that interview with him now, with more interviews under my belt, there would be nothing left of that human being. Nothing left whatsoever.
I was going to ask what his name is, but let's not give him any more of our attention.
007.
Oh, okay. So about, I don't know how many years ago, 5 years ago, maybe, there were Reddit groups, Discord groups about on basically, it started from affiliate marketing, and then it moved into how do you infiltrate a niche community in order to sell them merchandise and make a lot of money really fast. And the community has to be large enough that there are enough people to sell to, but small enough that you can quickly rise up as an influencer in that community. And somewhere along the way, they decided flat Earth was the community. It was big enough that you could make money selling stuff, monetizing, asking for super chats, but it was small enough that you could become one of the top flat Earth YouTubers in the community. And so then we had a whole bunch of these, what is it called? MLM? Anyway, a whole bunch of these people who were doing it just to make money. They didn't believe in flat Earth. They didn't believe in globe Earth. They didn't believe in anything except making a lot of money from people they thought were stupid.
Mhm.
And that's what they did. And unfortunately, there were enough. In any community, you're going to have some stupid people.
So who are the big flat Earth
But not
fakers?
I don't want to give them. I don't want to give their names because I
No,
don't.
but
want
we.
to go look them up and
I'll.
click on them. Don't give them clicks. Don't give them money. Don't say their name.
But they are. So they are out there, and
Yes.
they. So.
Is it third phase of moon?
Is he a flat earther? He's more
No.
UFO.
No. I was just joking. Just trying to get Ollie in more trouble.
No, it's okay because Blake will probably, if he comes on again, he'll go, Ollie, you had a flat earther on, and you say that I've done an effect on glass.
She's faking the whole planet.
Can I share a couple slides? I'm going to.
Yes,
absolutely.
You can. You
I
certainly
wonder
can.
if I have to stop and start.
You
or
go
just
ahead and destroy my
move through
channel.
them? Awesome. Oh, I don't even I can just move through them. So here, if you look at Antarctica's elevation,
See, that's far too. That
this model
that
is
wall's massive.
yeah, that's not to scale. That's an absurd extreme just to kind of show the basic idea. But according to Wikipedia, Antarctica is the highest continent on the planet with an average elevation of 7,000 feet above sea level. So that's the distance between you and a plane. Is a plane flies that's totally wrong. 7 miles, 37,000 feet. So it's 37,000 feet is where a plane is flying above you. 7,000 feet above sea level is the height of Antarctica. The elevation of Antarctica at the South Pole is 9,300 feet. So that's about 1/4 of the distance between you and a plane if you're comparing yourself at sea level. So even though this image is completely out of whack, it does give the idea that the further you go out away from the oceans on the ice of Antarctica, the higher the elevation. And so this model, this image here, it's just to put that point across that in fact, it's hard to explain the elevation of Antarctica on the globe Earth model. This is the different.
What is that?
So this is, again, the North Pole is in the center. Here we have North America. I realize, especially for Americans, their geography is really bad. So this is North America, South America. This over here is Africa. This down here is Australia. And then these are the McMurdo Station. These are the pseudoscience stations that are on Antarctica. So this is where they would be located. If you look at the routes of James Cook, who is said to have circumnavigated the Earth, you can see that his paths are explainable on a flat Earth model, and they actually make more sense. These are ancient maps of the world. And you see Antarctica all around the outside ring. Again, for people who aren't clear, this is North America. This would be South America. This is Africa.
Do you like Graham Hancock?
I do. Yeah, I think that there's some value, yeah, in his content. What do you think of him?
Because have you started watching? Have you watched any of his new series?
I've started. Have you?
Because it's interesting that there were civilizations that was drawing maps, and they were showing Antarctica before anybody knew it was there.
Even if you look at old maps where you have Antarctica without ice on, we have maps charted. It's regardless of the shape of the Earth, is clearly we've been lied to about our history.
Yes, I think this one is the 1600s. This map was drawn, and you can see that this landmass here, if I'm not mistaken, is Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the coast of Antarctica. And there are, when you compare it to what we do know of the coast of Antarctica, it matches up pretty well. So I have some example here somewhere. I put some slides together, but they're not in a proper order. Here's a map from the 13th. Sorry?
I think you left a slide in there.
Oh. This is a funny one about some of the silly mistakes that NASA
I've
made.
seen that one. So you're talking about the helmet, aren't you?
This is the Russian cosmonaut, isn't it?
This is the helmet?
No, I've seen the helmet one. This one is just pointing out that the shuttle that he's coming out of has a curvature, and the door does not have a curvature, but we're expected to believe that that's going to create a hermetic seal when it closes.
That's fucking awesome, and I genuinely.
Could that not just be the angle that it's?
No, absolutely not. Look, it's like a fucking car door.
No, it's really bad. It's just bad CGI with employees that are just kind of, I think, bored and depressed. You know, there are problems with Polaris because
the bendy door.
Yeah, the bendy door. Oh my goodness, Antonio and his bendy door video. And there are problems with the time zones as well for Antarctica. So hopefully, here's an example of, people send GoPros up and then they say, oh, it's a globe Earth. Here's footage that I took from one of these GoPros that supposedly proves that the Earth is a globe because it proves curvature. And you can see that it's only because they're using a lens that causes distortion, because this light is the Earth, surface is the light. And you can see how it's convex.
So that I would give you that, because I used to own a GoPro, and the lenses on that are extremely convex. Yes, so I'll give you that one.
Yeah, the surface of the Earth here is a bowl shaped. It's convex. So now you're living on a convex bowl shaped Earth. And there are different, every single country has their own photo of the Earth from space that's completely different. The sizing doesn't work. There are all kinds of problems. For the trolls, I don't take criticism from people that I wouldn't go to for advice. So you can say what you want in chat, but here's a problem with the sites you see from the ISS, because we're told that the sunset is red because all the blue light gets scattered out and all that makes it to your eye is the red light. So if that were true and you're seeing the Earth from space on the ISS, then all the blue light should also be scattered out. And so the Earth should look orangey red, but that's not what they show us. Here's the satelloons that are basically balloons that go up above us, and we call them satellites, but they're actually just NASA launching these balloons.
Sasha, would you?
Yes.
So I have a friend that's been on the channel a few times. He's a photographer, works in Scotland, and he's done a lot of work for the newspapers.
Yes.
He's messaged me, and he's very respectful, but he would like to come on with us. And
how about next time? Because I didn't prepare for this as a debate. I actually thought we were going to talk about
okay, so yeah, next time we can do that. But would you be up for that? Would you be up for actually having a not so much a debate? I don't know if it would be a debate, but this is somebody a discussion.
Well, I'm enjoying our conversation so far, where we're talking about these ideas and we're exchanging opinions. But I don't like debates where people try to score points.
No, I don't want to score points, but what I would like to get done at some point. I mean, I'm I'm basically a Neanderthal. So, you know, I'm not going to debate
It's
you.
very little basic about it, mate.
Yeah, I'm you know, I believe the Earth is a globe myself,
Right.
but there's people I know that have this. I've had 2 NASA guys on the channel that do work for NASA,
Yes.
contractors.
Yeah.
That I think one of them would come and have a good conversation.
Neither of them would come on.
You don't think they would? You don't
No.
think they did? No.
No.
You guys, I've forgotten what picture I'm looking for. I was trying to I was trying to answer a question, and I was like, oh, I have it in my picture file that I put forward. And for the life of me, I can no longer remember what I'm looking for. Do you remember what I'm looking for through these photos?
It doesn't matter anyway, Sasha. So that's fine. So
Okay.
for
the debate, no, I'm not interested in a debate. I'm not in, like, I'm sure your friend, you know, is interesting, and I'd love to talk to him as an individual. But I don't do debates because it's not useful. I've seen them. I've seen so many of them, and they're not useful because people are just fighting and they're trying to save face because you have an audience, so you want to save face. So even if you kind of realize, oh shit, I think I'm wrong, you don't want to be embarrassed, and you have all these people in chat that are saying, oh, the person whose opinion opposite to yours is stupid. So if you admit, oh, maybe I'm wrong, then you're like, oh, then now all those people are going to think I'm stupid, and they're going to say about me what they just have been saying about that person.
Yeah,
so
listen,
right, like, it's
my this is why I asked. Otherwise, I'd just bring somebody else in. So I'm very courteous of the guests, and it's just with you kind of like debating us. I thought I'd ask if well, I didn't ask. Somebody has asked me if they could come on with you.
Well, I'd rather stop debating you. If I'm debating you, I'd rather stop, and we can talk about aliens in Antarctica. Because I don't want it to be debating you either, right?
No. So
I think there's something interesting though. Like there's something interesting about flat Earth that is so antagonizing to some people, and that it's one of the most fascinating things I've seen. I'm watching. I can't, to be perfectly honest, my laptop's a little bit far away, so I'm kind of half squinting trying to look at it because I changed my setup, and it turns out my setup doesn't work. But there's something so antagonizing about it, and I'm not a flat earther. My problem is I don't believe in flat Earth, but I fucking don't believe the other people that have shown me the space stuff. So that's where I am. So I'm like fucking flat fluid, if you like.
And Jen, Sasha did she did mention that she doesn't know what shape the
Oh
sun
no,
is.
I didn't say that at all. I didn't answer the question. I flipped.
Oh, you didn't.
I didn't answer the question. I said, "How do you know the sun is a globe?"
That was it. That was it.
How
yes.
I know the sun is a globe. First, tell me how you know the sun is a globe. But I don't want to be debating Jennifer either. If she wants a debate with a flat earther, there are many channels that will fulfill her wish, so she can go and find one of those. It's not, and partly it's because a lot of people are just really stupid, and they're not capable of rational thought. They are capable of learning a slogan, memorizing a slogan, internalizing a slogan, and then spouting that slogan. But they don't have the capacity of abstract thought to make sense of what the underlying assumptions and principles are. And so I find I can't reason with those people because there's nothing to reason with, because there's nothing under the slogan. And so it's just frustrating and useless to...
Do you understand, though? So I do get it from somebody. So let's, for example, my father. So if my father watches this, he's probably writing me out the will as we speak, because if I mention flat Earth, he's like, don't. I watched it on television. I saw them go to the moon. How do I put this in the right way?
You can still believe in, if you want to believe you went to the moon, you can still believe you went to the moon and have a flat Earth model.
I think what I'm saying is, so when you say that people are stupid for believing.
No, I didn't say people are stupid for believing the globe. I'm saying some people are really stupid and they don't have reasons for their beliefs. They just accept slogans. And so you can't reason with them because you can't break down an idea and say, okay, let's examine this idea, because they don't have the idea. They just have the slogan. So they can just repeat the slogan at you, but they can't think about the components of that idea. And so to me, those kinds of people are typically the ones that want the debate, like Jennifer, right? Those are the ones that they want attention. They want to be part of the fight. They answer my question, because
I think what she does want to know is,
hold on though, to be fair, she wants the attention. She wants to push these questions, but she doesn't have her own YouTube channel. She hasn't invited me on to debate her. So it's not, she's just sitting.
Why would you need your own YouTube channel to debate somebody?
She's just sitting chat, spouting questions. And I don't know that she understands the questions that she's asking. And I don't know that she can reason in a way that will allow her to allow me maybe and her to communicate in a way that's fruitful. If you can't communicate in a way that's fruitful, then there's no point in communicating. And so I don't like these people that want the debate, not because they know how to think and they're interested in exploring their beliefs and exploring your beliefs. They just want to fight, or they just want to prove that their slogans are the right slogans. And so that's why I don't do debates, because I'm not interested in
but maybe the question, why do you think the sun is a globe, is a question that she's asking because she's genuinely intrigued.
No, because she doesn't know if I think the sun is a globe. So she doesn't understand the logic of like even getting to the point of, do I believe the sun is a globe? No.
What do you believe the sun is?
Just quickly, sorry here.
She hasn't asked that means that she has this idea in her head that she thinks she can argue something and win. So she has a winning point. And so she's going to put this winning point out there. But she doesn't even know if I think the sun is a globe. So why is she asking me? I don't know. My whole point is just this. If I wanted to debate Jennifer, then Jennifer should have asked me to debate her. But that's not... There's no point in doing that, because you can't reason with unreasonable people. I had accepted to have a conversation with you guys to talk about what's beyond Antarctica. What are the implications of a flat Earth model in terms of aliens? Because I find that interesting. What are the implications of a flat Earth model for alien visitation? What are the implications on UFOs? I think that that's interesting, and there's a lot of information and there are ideas in there that are fun to get into. And I think that looking at aliens through the lens of the flat Earth model, by saying they don't have to have the technology to go between stars, but radar knocks them out of orbit and they crash land in Nevada, right? That's ridiculous and absurd. But if you say, oh yeah, they just come from the other pond over and they have enough technology to go from that pond to ours, but their technology is still vulnerable to our radar, and that's why we can knock them out of the sky. That to me makes more sense. That's worth exploring. But the idea of that's why I'm here. I'm not here to debate oh, how does the sun work? And how does this? And what about that? And what about this? And my GoPro showed me that the Earth is a globe. Your GoPro didn't show you that your Earth is a globe. And if you think it did, you're not intelligent enough to make the conversation interesting to me. You're just a slogan spouter. So go spout your slogans at Nathan Oakley. Go spout your slogans at maybe Jaronism on his live shot. Go spout slogans at
I've just been watching his live stream.
What?
I think
the
interesting thing to point out here, especially because realistically, we are on regardless of whether people that come on Alien Addict or not, I think it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy theory channel. Right? Anything that goes you have a conspiracy theory channel, Orphan Red. You have a conspiracy theory channel. I have a conspiracy theory podcast. That's why we all fucking meld together so fucking nicely, like a beautiful stew. Yes. What I find fucking crazy is the fact that every person in this chat every single fucking person believes that there's fucking aliens visiting the planet. Every single one of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking be here. So how can a person that thinks aliens are visiting us from a fucking billion light years away criticize somebody that thinks there's a fucking flat earth, or criticize somebody that thinks the world's run by fucking lizards, or criticize somebody that thinks the fucking world is hollow? We are all kind of on the same fucking page.
Yes.
The idea is if we're
I'll
just
drink to that,
throwing
Lee.
fucking
Yes.
ideas around. I don't understand the fucking hostility towards it, because for me, the idea of being like a fucking free thinker or a truther or a fucking conspiracy theorist is the idea that someone presents an idea to you that is fucking radical. It's so far outside the norm. It's fucking ridiculous. And what you do is you listen to it and you take it in like you would watch Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania, and you buy into it. You buy into it until it's finished, and then when it's finished, you go, "That's full of shit." or at the end of it, you go, oh, "That was real, and I believe that." But you've got to give it the fucking breathing room.
And I agree with that completely. I also agree with when we discuss other people's beliefs, I need to know why they believe it fully for me to even be able to embrace the idea of it. So when I ask a question, it's not because I'm being a dick. It's literally, and I'm not saying you think I'm being a dick. I'm
Okay.
just saying, but or when I'm talking about the audience as well. When they ask a question, I get what you're saying when because flat earthers, you guys are always used to somebody just saying, "Oh, come on, blah blah blah. Have you not seen this bar? Have you not?" And coming at you with every single thing that they've seen their entire lives. I get that. I get the frustration, but at the same time, I would say this: when you have such a belief and you're out there in the public, I would say, I'm going to answer your question. Fuck it. If you don't like the answer, I'm here for this. This is what I do. I would own that shit. So all I'll say to you, Sasha, is own it. Own your shit.
Well, no, but it's not that. It's that. It's honestly, I am very good at entertaining myself. I really like ideas more than I
Me
like
too.
people. And so I am happy all by myself, reading, researching. I can keep myself very occupied and have a lot of fun all by myself in a room with no humans. And so I don't need to go and seek out human interaction. I do it if I know it's going to be enjoyable. And a conversation where we explore ideas and implications of ideas, and what would this mean for that, and what would this mean for that? Anything that's going to open my horizons and think of things in a new way, in a different way, and see things from a different perspective. That's interesting to me. That I will come out of my little hermit life in order to engage with you, to have that kind of a conversation. But having people shouting back and forth, well, NASA says this, and well, the sun is a globe, and therefore the Earth is a globe. Like, I couldn't care less. Nathan Oakley does that. If you want to go shout at someone about the slogans you believe about the globe, go see Nathan Oakley. He loves that stuff. He eats it up. He'll love shouting at you. He'll love having you shout at him. He'll enjoy you calling him stupid. He'll enjoy calling you stupid even more. But for me, that's not fun. It's just boring as fuck.
I know he's one of the big flat Earth proponents, but I think he's definitely one of the big ones that I think he's found a niche to make money on YouTube, at a flat Earth, regardless of what he believes.
Yes.
That's up to him. But he has an angle.
Yes.
Definitely.
And
He seems like a pretty big prick as well. That guy.
Yes.
I think he'd be a very difficult person to have a conversation with.
And the people who are in chat, there are a lot of people I've learned in my time on YouTube who are very lonely, and they don't care what kind of social interaction they get as long as they get some social interaction. So they'll say whatever mean thing, whatever triggering thing, whatever stupid thing comes to mind just to get a reaction because they want your attention. They're not thinking, they're not considering what you're replying. They just want a reaction. So for me, it's like talking to a dog at a dog park. Maybe cute dog, but if you're not even cute, then I'd rather be at home doing something interesting than trying to talk to a dog in a dog park that just wants my attention, right? And so that's a flaw in me. I'm not a personable person. I'm not a friendly person.
That doesn't seem true. I think you're a friendly person.
I enjoy what I enjoy. And what I don't enjoy is just having inane debates. And so, and I don't enjoy people who just spout things at me for my attention. Give me something to think about. Give me something interesting. Give me something inspiring. And that's another thing is I want to be inspired. I want to like elevate humanity. Remind me of what humanity can be. The light that's in us. The spark of something that's special and unique about humans. Remind me of that in our conversation.
That's what I like. That's what I like about conspiracy theories is the spark of imagination.
Yes.
And it's one of the things, to be perfectly honest, that I've found like lacking in the whole thing lately is, and maybe it's because we've in every aspect that stopped. Either we are not believing anything or we are 100% sold. There's no wiggle room anymore for people. You have to be involved in a camp, and I find it's I hate using the word toxic because I think the word toxic is used far too much for things. But it does. It's the best word I have right now, and it's a real shame. But what do you think is such a triggering thing then with flat Earth that
it makes people
sparks it? Because I'm looking at one thing I'm noticing right in the chat right now is that I've only ever seen once on Alien Addict, which is when we tried to do the live show. You know, when you had accidental guests jump in on the show. Ollie. Yeah, there was penises involved.
Oh god.
Yeah, we had this great idea. Ollie had this great idea for his channel, and I happened to be part of it. Where we were going to just allow people to come on and talk. Turns out people don't want to come and talk; they just want to come on, and they want to put people of color doing sexual acts to each other on. That's all they want to do.
Oh, that's so sad for the human race.
It is.
Do you know what's crazy about that though? Is
I've never seen chat like this before. I've never seen the chat is bombarded right now with fucking nonsense bots and I Stuart Little right now is
working his ass off.
He's doing the God's work, trying to fucking ban.
It messes me a couple of times on WhatsApp, but it's hard for me to look at WhatsApp, Stu. But I love you, my man. You're doing a great job. And Stu was the one that wanted to come and have a couple of words, but we can do that another day. Sasha, he's a very respectful person.
Or maybe
it's fine. I would rather you feel comfortable. And I did want to. The intriguing thing that I got from you with Lee's show is that you actually believe in aliens, which from somebody who is a flat earther, I found a little bit crazy. but I get now where you're coming from when you show me what you believe they're coming across the border, the Antarctic.
That's why they're humanoids. That's why they have similarities to our genetics so that they can hybridize humans. That's why they understand our language and our right. And I think that there's also interdimensional stuff going on, but I think that a lot of the blue gods, if you look, even in Asia, they have references to blue gods, but mostly in India, you have all these Vedic blue gods, and the Mayans and the New Zealand, you have the blue skin gods. I think if you evolved under slightly different sun, under slightly different conditions, I think that the Antarctica in the past, there are times when it melted and it allowed easier travel between our pond and neighboring ponds. Right now, the Antarctica is frozen, and the temperature, and I think the pressure actually as well. I think that there's a pressure difference as you go further out. Means that there isn't as much travel. So I think now the aliens that we're interacting with are either already here or they're more interdimensional. But I think in the past, I think that the routes to travel were maybe more easily traveled. And that's where we have all these myths of all these ancient gods that came. Like, why would you come through intergalactic space to teach primitives how to get iron out of rock, out of rock, or like how to mine gold? Like, why would you care? You just traveled 1 billion light years to teach apes how to make little tin tools. Like, what the heck? That's just absurd to me. But it makes more sense if you just come from the neighborhood.
My thing is we humanize aliens too much.
Sure, yeah.
Like whenever we talk about aliens, it's good or bad aliens, or either they're here to hurt us, they're here to help us. And then we even say, oh well, they just don't want to get involved, so we stick fucking Star Trek involved because we invented the fucking Prime Directive. They didn't. It's I find all that weird because realistically, I think we do not care if we are doing a construction job, for instance, and there is a rabbit warren there, we fuck that rabbit warren up without a fucking thought of it. So I don't understand why. And people say, but they'd be so more advanced. I don't think we'd care. I think if we became an intergalactic species and space is what we think it would be, I think we'd just do in space what we do on land, and that means we would go and conquer. We would be a species of conquerors. Yes.
And I think you have to be a bit of a predator in order to have the curiosity, the inquisitiveness, the desire to go conquer other lands, and to be able to do that kind of research that gets you to the technology that allows you to do that. I do want to say one thing though. Oh, I got all riled up. I apologize for that. But
no. We love that shit. We love a little bit of a Alien Addicts known for the drama. The fact that we've got a bit of drama there.
A little bit of fire.
People's nipples will be hard right now.
That was look at the color of Ollie's t-shirt. What your anger was the closest he's come to testosterone in a while.
Okay, but so here's the thing. I think that
just realized we're all redheads.
Oh yeah, interesting.
Fucking purebreds is what we are.
Pure bloods.
well, my hair's really dark, but my beard is as red as they come.
Well, we'll allow you for now.
But so here's the thing that I think explains some, not all, some of the hostility from the people, maybe in chat or maybe just in the world, that hate the whole challenging of the globe model that they have been taught. It comes down to porn to some extent. I use porn as an example, but...
Did you say porn?
Yes. People...
Flat Earth porn? Oh my God, there's a niche. There's a new niche.
Look at what people look at porn these days. People are looking at the most...
I don't want to look at what other people are looking at porn these days.
People are looking at the most depraved things. And the more you look at depraved porn, the more it desensitizes you to it. And then it doesn't have that taboo excitement anymore, because it's not taboo because you've been watching it every night for 3 months. So now you need something a little bit more exciting. little bit more taboo to kind of give it that spicy. So you keep pushing the envelope, and psych research backs that up. And so I think people today are doing a lot of shameful things that on some deep level, because I do believe that on some level, some humans have a sense of moral right and wrong. Yes. And those humans that have an innate sense of moral right and wrong, I think on some level, they know that they do a lot of shameful stuff. And they would rather think it doesn't mean anything. Anything I do is okay because nothing means anything, because we're just this accident of probability. We just happen to evolve on this ball that's just rolling through meaningless space. Mm-hmm. Our lives are meaningless. The fact that we're here is meaningless. When we die, it's meaningless. Therefore, it doesn't matter if I do the worst things when nobody's looking, because nothing matters anyway. Whereas when you get into the flat earth model, there are aspects of the flat earth model that imply design. And when you imply design, that implies a designer. And as soon as you have the idea that there might be a creator to this realm, then, maybe what you do matters. Maybe what you do, it's not that it's monitored, but maybe...
You mean God?
Well, God has so much baggage. You can call it God. You can call it the designer, the simulation
karma,
creator, right? Karma, whatever you want.
The idea that there is
watching.
weight to your actions.
Yes, and I think people get really angry with flat Earth because they're terrified that what they do has meaning, and that the shameful things that they do are not meaningless, and that their lives, the choices that they make, are not meaningless and nihilistic. And I think that scares them so badly that they lash out in a rage. And I think that's what it comes down to.
I think subconsciously you're right. I'm not sure whether it just extends to flat Earth. I think if you take porn out of the equation and just replace it with consumerism.
Oh my God, how many Wikipedia links are you going to put under my video?
You wait, big boy. If you take porn out of the equation and replace it with consumerism, for instance, it's exactly the same thing. And it's this, as you said, nihilistic mode we've got ourselves into. And it's one of the things that shut people down. And this is the thing that, again, I'm not gonna have the same rant as I just had before, but it's the same thing that for when people shout things down, it's the, I mean, lots of people don't like Elon Musk, right? I've had arguments today with Elon Musk. I don't trust the guy. I'm not.
You've had an argument with Elon Musk today?
No, I haven't had an argument with him. But
that's the greatest. Why didn't he use that? It's amazing.
But what annoys me sometimes is especially in the so-called awake community, some people seem to be doing the right thing, and then you will just get people that go, no, shill. They're a shill. They have to be, because it's almost like a cult. And then you get it's in the same way as like the Bigfoot people don't want to speak to the UFO people, that don't want to speak to the flat Earth people, that don't want to speak to the ghost people. Can we not just all fucking agree that the world's strange? If we all agree that the world's strange, we can then chat about all these different things. I don't necessarily believe the fucking world's flat, but I tell you what, the information we've been given why it's round is questionable. Yes. And that's... Start from there and go, do I believe Buzz Aldrin went to the moon? Do I believe Neil Armstrong stepped down those ladders and said those immortal words of one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind? I don't know. So why the fuck should I believe whatever else they said?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's about questioning. I think there's value in questioning and not just having. If you just believe whatever you were taught from childhood or whatever the mainstream tells you, then you're easily manipulated by your rulers. And so that's why I encourage people to question.
Be free. Be
Let-
free. Be free without rulers, like and without a flat Earth ruler, without a fucking alien ruler. Be fucking free to listen. That's the thing.
Let's get onto that then. So Antarctica. So Buzz Aldrin did go there. Had a heart problem, didn't he? So he got helicoptered out of there. But all these world leaders, they go to the Antarctica. They meet up there. We're not allowed there. The average Joe's not allowed there. So there's definitely something about that place that is odd, I will say. Do you believe that after that it's not your model is not what you showed at the beginning? Your model is what you showed up, and you can bring it back up on screen, where there are different. You're saying there are different realms.
Yes, I do believe that there are different realms. Here, I'll bring that up so that people have a reference frame. There we go. Okay, let me share that.
I do apologize if I have missed any super chats, people, but Lee is not logged in tonight, and usually he helps me out with this, but
my fault.
He's been kicked out of my StreamYard for some reason.
He didn't like my he didn't like my truth.
He didn't like your, too much truth, Lee. You're too reasonable, see.
StreamYard's really something wrong with it, especially
it's my fault. I reinstalled my operating system. That's what it was, mate.
Okay.
No. I mean for the chat when you're trying to find stuff.
Screw me! You've got to have a separate window open. I do have a window open, but there's a lot going on in there. They're pretty busy. They're vocal.
I can't look at chat because I'll just.
Oh, there we go.
It's fine. You stay with us.
We got a wow from Jen.
Jenny now believes the world is flat.
No, I think
no. That's exactly. Wait, no. Stop. Confirmed. Jennifer Sammy confirmed flat Earth.
I'm gonna message her after the show.
Flat Earther Jennifer.
Yeah. Incredible. Just wow at the information. Wow.
Good work, guys.
I will say this, Sasha. Jen's been on the show, an experiencer that's had like some stuff go on in her life when it comes to aliens and what have you. And I can kind of see why somebody. So Jen is not a like a big NASA person or anything like that. She's somebody who's had stuff happen to her. She's been on the channel. So I do get why people that may have had something happen to them when it comes to the idea of aliens may totally go against the flat Earth model.
But see, I have a problem with the the illogic aspect of that, which is, okay, so let's say you've had an experience with aliens. Maybe you were abducted, let's say. And so you now know to be true that there are aliens. Then someone says, here's all this evidence that makes it impossible to believe in the globe, right? Here's all this evidence that contradicts the globe model. And your reaction to that is, flat Earth is stupid because I know aliens are true. Like, there's a disconnect there for me. It's like, okay, you've experienced aliens. Okay, you've been abducted by aliens. Okay. That doesn't mean that the evidence against the globe is somehow invalidated by the fact that you've had an experience with aliens. And I have to say, Jennifer, I apologize if I was overly harsh. I get attacked so much on my channel, on other people's channels, when I go on their channels, that I've become quite short-tempered with with that. So I'm sorry if I overreacted to your
Oh,
question.
Sasha, you don't have to apologize to my audience. I love my audience to pieces, but you don't have to love them. But I love my audience. But yeah, you don't have to love them. You say what you want to say, you know. And thank you, Bobby Daisy, Bobby Dassler, Bobby Daisy. I do want to ask you this because we are pressing on for time.
Yes.
You've seen I want to say you've seen aliens. Then you may have seen aliens, but you believe in aliens. So Bobby Dazzler here with his lovely lemon super chat person, whatever he's put up there, this crazy little thing looks like an alien itself. Thank you very much, mate. His logo, his little avatar thing, is an alien grey. Do you believe that they are a thing on whatever this is that we're living on? Do you think, or do you think that's something that's been made up?
I don't disbelieve in the alien greys. I think that there is enough. I think some people lie, some people make up stories, and for various reasons. But there are also a lot of people who are just reporting their experiences, and they're not doing it to gain anything. And some maybe are drunk, some maybe have schizophrenia, some maybe are crazy. But I think that there are enough reports that, to me, it suggests that there is something going on. And I think that there are images of greys. The Gate of the Sun in South America, I think it's Pumapunku, where they have the face of an alien gray in one of their it's not a fresco, but one of their reliefs. And so I do think that there is enough evidence, not to scientifically prove, but to persuade me. I think, yes, I'm persuaded that I don't disbelieve in the gray aliens. And I like the theory that they are maybe artificial intelligence kind of thing. They don't have souls, and I don't know. I like those theories.
But you think they could? Okay, bluntly, do you think they are a thing, or do you think it is something that's been put into our community to confuse us?
I think that there are.
If we're talking about what you believe, never forget what I believe.
Yeah.
Do you?
Okay.
So we're talking. So there's so many conspiracies out there.
Yes.
But that is one thing that people report all over the world, that they have seen this so-called gray-looking being. My logo.
Yes. And I have a very close friend who had an experience with a gray when he was little. And so that maybe adds to my personal belief. So it's not scientifically, I wouldn't say grays exist and science proves it, but I would say I believe that there are grays. I believe that there's a lot going on. I think that there are other civilizations that are interacting with ours, and I think they're doing it in different ways. And I think some of it, is perception distortion, right? Where you make people see what you want them to see, so that you look in a way that makes them obey you and not be too fearful or whatever, right? So I'm not sure what's going on exactly. And like we said, I think some of it is maybe interdimensional, in the sense that I don't think it's physically occurring, but I do think that their consciousness is interacting with our consciousness. But I think some of it is physical. Some of it, I think, is military abductions that are pretending to be aliens, but I think that they're abducting people that maybe have consciousness experiences with other consciousnesses, maybe. So I don't really know what's going on. I think it's a fascinating domain of information. I think there's definitely something going on. But you tell me, because you're the expert. You've interviewed all this.
I am definitely no expert. I've spoke to many people that have claimed to have seen these creatures, but I've never seen one myself. So
would you want to?
Never seen any evidence.
For all I know, the demons. I have no idea. This subject for me right now, if I'm gonna be blatantly honest, is either two things. It's either it is creatures coming from whether it's space or your model, the flat model, or it's something really bad.
Interdimensional antagonists.
Yeah, maybe what's his name, the evil guy,
The devil.
Alistair Crowley. Maybe was it what was the alien thing? Was it Maud? Lamb, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing. And that was that drawing was like over 100 years ago. That is the closest thing that I would say is anybody is drawn to one of these creatures.
So this is something I've seen a lot of debate on, excuse me, is are the aliens demons or not? But I think I don't understand that debate, because a demon is, excuse me, a non-physical being that can influence you and does it for evil intent, right? And harms you. And a bad alien is a being that influences you, that does bad things to you, that doesn't have your best interest at heart.
Mm-hmm.
So does it matter what term we use? And
no, it's just a word at that point. I think the only difference is that the alien term now is tied to something that's come from another planet.
Right. Okay. So that's the difference.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. I much, regardless of the shape of what we're on, I'm much more stemmed towards the idea of interdimensional.
Yes.
Or
and traveling crazy distances at a ridiculous speed that
or even
hitting all sorts of shit on the way.
Parallel existence. You know, we know we only see like a fraction of what light is, so maybe they just exist in a parallel existence to us, but we don't know what they are. We can't interact with them, but for some reason, where they are, they can interact with us. You know, it's there is certainly something. I think that's almost a given, that there is something else that exists, whether you take it as UFOs or Bigfoot or alien abductions. There is something else that exists, or ghosts as well. There is something that exists outside our plane of reality. That
a Loch Ness monster.
I think that's bullshit. Yeah, there's something that exists outside our plane of reality that we can't interact with on our whim. We can't just choose. Again, maybe with psychedelics, that's a different conversation. But we'll just say in our day-to-day life, we can't interact with these things, but they seem to be able to interact with us.
We can interact with them with remote viewing. Some people do. But it tends to bring about badness, and so people do tend to avoid that. I think you're quite right, but I do think some of them are physical. David Politis of the Missing 911 or Missing 411.
Wow, yeah.
He's
got a new documentary coming out, I think, which is Missing 111. What did Dave say it was? UFO Files? Missing 111?
It's missing 411 and the UFOs or something like that. It's and the UFO connection.
Yes.
That is going to be... Ooh.
Yeah.
It's going to be great, because he's finally, after all these years, like, he wanted
giving
so
an
much
opinion,
to have that credibility. So he didn't want to say, like, guys, these are Bigfoot aliens that are eating us. So, like, he would always say, like, oh, I can't speculate. He's finally coming out and saying, guys, these are Bigfoot aliens that are eating us.
That would be fucking amazing if that was the beginning of the documentary. I was like, look, the 7-foot apes that are coming in interdimensionally, and they're munching on us because we taste like chicken.
I've just realized I should have called this video the UFOs visiting our flat Earth.
That's a great title. I like it.
Because Sasha, you do believe in UFOs.
I do believe in UFOs. I've seen one. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you tell that story on Lee's show?
I don't know. Did I?
No, you didn't.
It was
Definitely-
4 hours.
but-
I can't remember 4 minutes ago, and it was weeks ago. God, don't put me on the spot like this.
Let's win these motherfuckers over. Come on, tell us the UFO story.
Well, so I saw. I was driving with my cousin was driving, and we were out in BC, in British Columbia, which is on the west coast of Canada, down by the U.S. border, and there are U.S. military bases in that area. And we saw this big, bright light, and then it resolved into it was a black triangle. I hate that it's so stereotypical, but it was one of these black triangles with a light on each corner. And it zoomed off, and then this is the weirdest thing. It stopped at the horizon, and just sat there on the horizon. And then we were driving, so then we had to kind of go around, and then when we came back around, it was gone. But it was enormous. It was huge. Yeah, and I don't know if it was a U.S. military UFO or if it was.
Everybody says that.
Right, like it's hard to know.
I don't know if it was the military, but it was a big triangle.
It was a big.
It could be the military. I don't know why people say that. Because it could be the military. It could, the military possibly have a giant fucking triangle with lights on it.
It is strange, isn't it? It's like it was the UFO, but it could possibly be like.
Do you know what makes it military? It's the lights. It's the lights.
No, because you're thinking about FA lights, aren't you? There, so I mean,
I'm just thinking about why the fuck would you have? We're here, woo!
And maybe it's part of the propulsion mechanism.
Maybe, honestly, I think if they come from one of the other ponds, or if they come from below the ocean, right? That's another possibility. I don't think they care if we see them. I think that they maybe have some agreements that, like, okay, try not to scare all the humans too much. But I don't know that they're that concerned. So maybe if they're doing some operations, they turn their lights out. But if they're looking for something, excuse me, or they're doing something on the ground, they need to see that. I don't know. Could you not see an infrared? I don't know.
Right. I'm not proud of this moment of my life.
Okay.
But you've got no pants on.
Well, no, not right now. Just this. I mean, I won't disclose my pants.
I've got
situation.
pajamas on.
But when I was a child,
yes.
a small child, maybe not small child, medium child, 10 years old, I found we don't have ant hills, but you find them all buried in the ground. You can see where they're all coming in and out of and stuff like that. I might have filled one of those full of petrol, might have let it on fire to watch what came out of it. And I watched the fire ants come out as a child. Now, I didn't give a fuck about those fucking ants seeing me or not. I didn't care. I knew what I was going to do to those motherfuckers, and I just did it. Yeah. So the idea that aliens would care whether we saw them coming and going, this is why I don't believe in aliens.
You've just added a Wikipedia link of animal cruelty.
Yes.
Well, okay, but I have the same.
Why would they only come in ones? Like why would it's only ever one? I know. There's like sometimes you see like the lot of coloured dots in the sky, which is probably something else. But as far as when anyone ever sees a decent UFO, yeah. It's only ever one. Only ever one together. There's only ever one decent sized object. When do you see one car? Or like when do we ever travel together? Like why is it always like one triangle or one this or one that or one fucking UFO comes to abduct one person? It just seems odd. Why would they be so bothered? Why would they be bothered about keeping themselves so secretly to travel all this distance to build a base? Because you would technically, right? People might say, "Oh, well, there isn't a base here," but if you were going to not colonize, but if you were going to come and spend time somewhere, you would find a place to stay. And this, to be perfectly honest, definitely falls more into Sasha's realm than the globe realm. If you're going to travel billions of light years, whatever we've done for this civilization, which has been around millions of years longer than we have, why would they just cut about in essentially like a Ford Mondeo of the UFO world? Just two of them together, just two of them cutting about, looking at the Earth.
It makes more sense if they haven't come a billion light years. It makes more sense if they are either very close or if they're already here and they're just going off to one, some water for the weekend or some humans for their barbecue. But I think
fucking hell, mate. You just added cannibalism to my Wikipedia link.
But I think that in the same way that I always object when Ollie tries to say flat earthers believe this or flat earthers, right? Because we're all
Ollie's such a dick. You're right.
You're
so right.
What flat earthers believe.
Dickhead.
We always assume that there's like one monolithic community that represents every member of that community. And I think, no, that's not true. And I think it's the same for aliens. I don't believe that there's one species of aliens and they're governed by one set of rules and they behave with one set of motivations. I believe that we're interacting with a lot of different things and they have different motivations and different rules of engagement and different agreements with governments. I could be wrong.
I find that interesting. It's because we've heard that quite a lot, like especially in the Eisenhower time of aliens signing a deal with the US to essentially abduct people and to be allowed to do the things.
That stuff I do not buy, Lee. I don't
exactly.
buy it all.
No, I don't buy it either.
Why would that information ever be released?
Yeah. How strange that the idea that a race of beings would travel again millions of light years, come to Earth, then work out how we do business, and then come to the ground and cut a deal with us.
But see, if it makes sense on a flat Earth model, because then what you see is there's a pond on just, a little ways off beyond the shores of Antarctica, right?
It does make sense on a flat Earth model because it means if we...
It's Lee turning. Lee's turning.
No, I'm just saying it does make sense on a flat Earth model.
Your nipple does get a little bit hard.
Especially if there was a time when the different realms, for instance, if that's what we're calling the bonds, were in touch with each other, it would make sense why we had a similar way of dealing with each other.
Because if they came here in the past and interacted with, and maybe at some point, I think there must have been a lot more mixing because, I suspect that there's some genetic similarity. Then it kind of makes more sense that they would come and want maybe resources or even if they're taking humans to eat, whatever. That makes more sense if there's some kind of similarity in the evolution right? So the gods with the blue skin that came in the past, like why would you as an alien species come from very far away just to be worshipped by apes?
And it's always a trade situation. There always seems to be a trade. It's never a conquering, and that's what you would think. You would think there'd be a conquering.
Yes, and even just like, why would you want to be bring me sacrificed animals and worship me and give me a gold throne or what? Let me make even the idea of like let me make rules for your society. Why would you care? You've come from a billion light years away, but you want to make rules for apes here? It's ridiculous. But if they just come from the pond over and there's been back and forth over millennia, And so then they come, maybe when they came last time, they were only 100 years ahead technologically, maybe not even, maybe 20 years ahead. And so they're like, oh, yes, okay, we can get these people to get food for us, and they'll build us these nice little temples to live in. How cool is that? We just tell them what to do, and we get a little bit of sex with their women, which really the whole sex and the whole hybridization, that doesn't work if they come from another star because the genetics wouldn't work. But if they come from a pond that's not too far away, there's been interaction in the past, that's the only
would make sense. In the
I
same,
don't
in the same
know.
way we can breed different types of dogs. Yeah,
But the green female in Star Trek is very attractive to me. I'll be honest.
But would an octopus be? Like, right? Like,
well, an octopus could probably give me a lot of pleasure.
But like, right, that's the, if you're
no
really
more than an ant.
if you're really thinking about species that have come, that have evolved or have developed on very different environments by different stars, then you're more likely to have something like an octopus that would come to Earth. And an octopus is not necessarily going to find you sexually interesting or...
I'm so glad that you're like catering this towards Jen's super chat, all under the sea. You know, octopuses.
They do say that octopuses have
are aliens. Alien DNA. I've heard that. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. And I do want to get to that subject, Jen, because I do definitely think that if aliens are coming from anywhere, hiding anywhere, I definitely think they're hiding in the sea. I will not eat octopus once. I will not eat octopus anymore. I used to love the fucker.
Yeah, I saved an octopus once. It was on holiday. It was all wrapped up in stuff on the beach, and the tide had gone out, and he was just kind of lying there, waiting to die, getting all crusty. And I picked him up. I took him to the water, and I took the bits of plastic and stuff off him, and I stuck him in the sea. And I had a feeling, and it was probably bullshit, I had a feeling that of thankfulness from it. You know, there was a.
Did he do anything?
He kind of stuck his arms out and then
swam off.
Because
I've seen a video on YouTube of a guy freeing an octopus, and this is what made me never eat my favorite fish. It's not a fish, well, whatever it is. What is it? It's a thing.
Sea mammal.
Yeah, it's not. It's definitely not a mammal.
Alien.
I will never eat my favorite alien anymore because I saw a guy rescue it, and this thing came back up and it hugged the guy's foot. And then I watched a documentary of a guy that made mates with an octopus over a period of, I think it was like 2 years. And this octopus got to know him and eventually became tame to the guy that was going in the ocean with this octopus. Those things are clever motherfuckers.
Yes.
So I won't eat them anymore, but they are tasty as fuck.
Are they? I've never eaten them. I won't.
No, don't eat them. But they are nice. It's like squid. It's like squid on steroids.
But do we still? Squid's nicer. So do we still think squid is stupid? Because I fucking
don't know.
Love calamari.
I love squid. I do. I'm a big.
I would eat calamari if squid are as clever as humans.
I've never seen
them myself.
I've never seen a squid touch a man in the way that octopus touched that man's foot.
So what we're saying is that we are okay with the aliens eating humans because we're okay with humans eating the.
That's the thing with us humans. If we see some sort of intelligence or some sort of empathy, we think, fuck it, I'm not going to eat that anymore.
No, it's not empathy, it's intelligence. Because let's face it, the most delicious animal on the planet is probably the cow. Like, there is very little better than a fucking really well cooked steak.
Yeah,
very little better. If that animal was intelligent enough, it would know it was delicious, and it would evolve to run quicker.
That's why the fucking greys keep taking the cow, because it tastes so good.
Have you ever seen a cow fucking?
Why do they keep targeting?
They would run like horses. They run like fucking Jesus. Paraplegic squirrels is what they run like. They're fucking useless at it. They're designed for us to eat.
I forgot to tell you, Sasha, that Lee's been in the pub all night. Aliens under the sea. Do you think then that the UFOs, because you believe that the UFOs exist on the flat Earth model? I'm with Jen all the way there. I think that if these things were not from the Corbell, Jeremy's footage, I don't know if you know who Jeremy Corbell is, but the guy that showed the UFOs going in and out of the sea, I think that footage is just whatever it is. But I do believe if they're hiding anywhere, it would be under the sea. Do you think if they're over the pond, in this pond, that's where they'd be?
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's an easy way to hide. You're very protected. You're in a pressured environment, so I kind of wonder where they come from, what the environment is. But yeah, also, to be honest, I watched The Abyss when I was young and impressionable, and I think that opened me up to that idea that there are alien civilizations that are in this, on the ocean bed.
On the flat Earth model as well, there's absolutely no reason why things couldn't come under the ice.
Oh yeah, of course it comes under the ice and then into the ocean and from Antarctica, and then we don't even see them coming in, right? They just slip in under the ice, under the water, set up base camp, and then come out when they want to get whatever it is that they want to get.
That's the Land Before Time, isn't it? The Land Before Time was the submarine went to the Antarctic, they went under the water, they came up in Dinosaur Land.
Okay.
Speaking of dinosaurs, do you think the dinosaurs? How should I say this? I'll just say it. Do you think dinosaurs existed? Because I've seen a lot of conspiracies where people don't believe.
Have you had a little deep dive
I've never seen a dinosaur, Lee. Before you ask me,
No.
I found fossils before,
right?
But not.
I thought you might have gone on a little excursion after.
No, to be honest with you, I did a deep dive many years ago on dinosaurs because I was always fascinated with dinosaurs as a kid. But it is right. There has never been a full dinosaur discovered, and the dinosaurs in museums are basically to. So I hope nobody gets upset about this, but they are basically what's the word? What is it they use?
Models.
Yeah, plaster of Paris. Do you believe in dinosaurs?
I haven't looked into it enough to make up my mind to have an opinion on it. I know that I like Eric Dubé's flat Earth content, and I think Eric Dubé is quite intelligent as a person.
Me too.
Right, and he's very good at research, and so as a person, I have no feelings about him personally, but in terms of his intelligence and his research ability, I respect him, and he has made videos saying, I think it was him that made the video saying, that the evidence for dinosaurs is not strong enough to be able to accept that as a truth. And it's interesting to me, but it's nothing more than interesting to me because I have never taken the time to look into it myself.
I think I come with what we talked about last night on the podcast. There was something we talked about last night on the podcast where you go.
We talked about the whole dinosaur Sue. I said
no, not the dinosaur. We talked about the sometimes there's things that come along that you go, that's weird. I don't know what to do with that information, and it's not going to further my mission right now of where we are.
Well, it's more that I don't believe or disbelieve. I think it's compelling to me that he's found evidence that suggests that it's not that there are no dinosaurs. But I've seen sculptures on Indian temples that show dinosaur-like animals.
Exactly. Yeah, and the painting. There's old paintings even with people riding them. Yeah,
Yes, I've seen that as well on an old map, I think. So I don't have an opinion.
Dinosaurs exist in the same type of man. Dino riders. That is just something in itself.
So
I think maybe it's even just the modern interpretation of what we have, and maybe it's a timeline thing, because I think it's interesting that the theory of dinosaurs was a thing, and then shortly after the theory of dinosaurs came around, we started finding dinosaur bones. I think
that's sketchy bacon.
Yeah, that's really strange. And again, I'm a big proponent of the manufacturing of history. And it's like I don't get me wrong, I am not intelligent enough, and I do not have the time to sit down and research these things. But when you see these things placed in front of you, you go, right, I don't know what the answer is, but it definitely makes my understanding of history from what I was taught at school seem fucking sketchy at best.
Yes.
You've seen the paleontologist that was on Joe Rogan, though, Lee. That, like, Joe did ask him about the people that were basically discrediting dinosaurs, and
No, I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying dinosaurs weren't here. I'm not talk. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say that.
I never said you did say that.
No, but what I mean is,
you've seen that.
Oh no, sorry. I thought that's what you meant.
No,
but
I would never say that you were a dinosaur hater.
A dinosaur denier, that's new.
Dinosaur
Can I be the
denier?
first dinosaur denier? I've never heard that used before. I'd deny dinosaurs to be the first.
I'll tell you something, if dinosaurs are fake, that is somebody with a great imagination.
Is it?
Is
Yeah.
it? Because we have smaller versions of them, crocodiles and iguanas.
Yeah, lizards.
We don't have Triceratops.
We invented Alien, the xenomorph.
Oh my
Xenomorph
God. Yeah, that's a good point.
That's a much
Xenomorph is
creation.
basically a velociraptor with no eyes, a massive bell end for a face.
Velociraptors weren't real, though.
Well, they were, but they were just a lot smaller than Jurassic Park made them out to be. They were tiny. They were fucking tiny. I could fucking, if you put me against a velociraptor,
might nibble on your bell end.
Yeah, I would kill that little fuck and eat it. And I would eat it. I wouldn't give it the same treatment as I would an octopus. I would definitely try Velociraptor every day of the week. Velociraptor, I don't care if the motherfucker's gonna, like, the last species is there. I would eat that little bastard.
No. I like the idea of you there with a Velociraptor by the scruff of a neck, a pan of boiling water going, clever girl this, you little bitch. And then just fucking boiling the cunt to death until you eat it.
Who fucking boils a velociraptor? You fry that twat?
No, you would cook it like
barbecue.
Yeah, like octopus, or
I'm just imagining it being very bony.
Lobster.
I think the question of dinosaurs, I think it's valuable to have exist, I guess, as a conversation. Because, excuse me, because it forces you to, again, confront the idea of, is the history that I've been taught true because I've been taught it by people that I respected as a child? Is it true because there's enough evidence? And like you said, people think the evidence is, oh, but we have all these skeletons in museums. And then you're pointing out, well, those are actually plaster and they're based on a chip of a tooth, or they're based on a section of a bone. Or even if you find, a bone of a dinosaur, is it of a dinosaur? Is it of a crocodile? Is it of an elephant? I don't know, right? So whales have leg bones in them, right?
I think this is what we were talking about this last night on Musty Audio. I don't think people realize the amount of dinosaur skeletons they see, that whole thing they see has been based on one femur bone that was found, and then the rest was built around that. I don't think enough people understand that.
And I also don't know.
It's crazy to think about that.
And I don't know when the temples in India, I don't know when they were built. You can't carbon date stone, and carbon dating of organic material is only like, there are a lot of problems with it because there are a lot of underlying assumptions that are not actually very persuasive. So we don't really know when they were built. And the maps that show the humans riding the dinosaurs, I don't know when that map was actually made. You can tell me, oh, it was made in the 1700s, but do I have any way of verifying that? And so I think I just reserve judgment. I enjoy hearing both sides. I enjoy hearing people talking about the evidence of dinosaurs that they found and the pterodactyls in North America. I love that stuff. But I also love hearing the people who are giving me information like you just did, like, oh, you know, like it's all plaster of Paris in the in the museums. I like hearing both sides. It reminds me of like, oh yeah, okay, this is something that I have to not make a decision on because I don't have enough information on either side to take a position on it.
Well, this is my thing with misinformation is the way I'm going to attack misinformation now when people accuse people of misinformation is that misinformation shouldn't be looked at as misinformation. It should be looked at as facts to back up facts. So if you turn around and say Ollie is has a blonde beard, that's misinformation. And then you look at Ollie and you go, no, he's got ginger beard. So that my lie backs up the fact that his beard is ginger. And that's the way we should look at these things now. So if you put something forward, accept it. If it's fucking nonsense, then it backs up your truth.
Yes, it allows that space for that conversation to happen, and that gives you the opportunity to put forth your facts or your evidence of the opposite. And so then people get to hear the evidence for it instead of just taking it on blind faith. If you're going to say,
shouldn't say your truth, I should say the truth, because
the
truth isn't it's not objective, is it?
No, but a lot of what we think is true is just popular opinion.
You see, this is the whole. I mean, we are coming up to the 2-hour mark, but this is the whole thing with what I do on this channel. I have no idea what's going on in this world, and who am I?
You're a curious person.
I'm very curiously, and who am I to shun somebody's belief? So I kind of want this to be the final message. If you're out there
the
on
chat
YouTube,
should be more curious.
Yeah, if you're out there on YouTube and you believe that we're being visited by extraterrestrials, we've been taken or whatever, I would say you need to venture out, because my beliefs with that now is maybe it's something different. Maybe it's something that's been here for a very long time. Again, Sasha, I said this on Museoria. I'm not a flat earth. I don't believe in flat earth. It's not my thing. Love to dabble in it. Could I be wrong? I definitely 100% could be absolutely wrong, because I could have had the maybe the lies are real. Maybe you are right. And would I put my hand up and say that is a possibility? It's 100% a possibility. For anybody that is out there to say it's absolutely 100% not a possibility is kidding themselves. You know, all you're doing is you're listening to all the scientists that may possibly be lying to you. I don't believe that. I believe Earth is definitely a globe. I believe that NASA is still lying to us. I don't know if it's alien or if it's something that's been here a long time. That's my belief. But I would challenge everybody in the chat to respect somebody else's beliefs, because I'll tell you something, the conversation that you will have with somebody, like I said, my best friend, he is now a flat earther. Nice. And we have debate, we have the best conversations over a beer. And it's great, you know.
I would say as well, sorry, but I would say as well, instead of thinking of it as that someone has to prove to you that the earth is flat, instead maybe look at it as, can you prove to yourself that the earth is a globe? When you start investigating, don't just, how far is the sun? The sun is 93 million miles away. Don't just take that as, okay, that's what you know. How do you know that the sun is 93 million miles away? How did they figure that out? The transit of Venus. Okay, well, did you know that the only way that the transit of Venus proves that the sun is that far is if you take on blind faith that Venus is the same size as Earth? And the only reason that they did that was because Venus was seen as the wife of Jesus and Jesus is the Earth. And so there's this whole weird, crazy story about how Venus is the wife of the Earth, therefore it's the equal of the Earth, therefore it's the same size as the Earth. And if Venus is the same size as the Earth, then when it passes across the sun, we can calculate the distance of the sun, right? Very few people know that. So they will tell me,
Is that a thing? Is that
how they figured out how far the sun was, is that they decided that Venus is the same size as the Earth because, and if you look into it even deeper, it gets even darker because Venus is the morning star. So Venus was Lucifer and the Earth is Jesus. And so anyway, you can look into it yourself. That's my point, is that don't take things on blind faith. Look into it yourself. But if you're going to say that you know that the sun is 93 million miles away, and I say, well, how do you know? And you say, well, because of the transit of Venus. Well, how does that work? And then you have to investigate that. And then you find out, well, in order for the math to work out, they just took it on blind faith. They just assumed. They just said, let's assume that Venus is the same size as Earth because Venus is Lucifer and Earth is Jesus, whatever. There's no reason to make that assumption. There's nothing anywhere that provides any support for that assumption. They just took it out of nowhere and plunked it down. Let's just assume that Venus is the same size as Earth. If you don't make that assumption, then you can't prove that the Earth is 93 million miles away. And so that's the kind of thing where don't look to prove flat Earth is true for yourself. Look to prove that the Earth is a globe. Look to prove that you know why. How do you know that the sun is 93 million miles away? Because they told you. Why did they know? How did they know? How did they find out? Like, I would say start proving the globe to yourself before worrying too much about trolling flat earthers. And also, if Stuart Little wants to come on and say a little bit before we go, as long as it's not a debate, as long as it's just a little conversation, I'd be okay with that.
Well, all I was going to say, Sasha, is that I don't think Stu's with us. I think he's gone now, hasn't he? He's still with us.
I think he's passed on. No, Stu's still.
No, Stu's ace. Would you be willing to, if you was given proof, could you go back? Because I've just said.
But I've come from the same education as you've come from. I've learned
What I'm saying
you learned about the globe. Like, I was a globe believer just like you. It's not like there are things that I don't know that, if you taught me about how the sun works, I would become a globe earther. No, like, there's no information that you have about the globe model that I don't have. Right?
No, I think all he means, if there was something you were shown you, would you change your mind? If there was a piece of information that was so cast iron, do you think could you go back?
But like, how one piece of information wouldn't make up for all the flaws in the globe earth model that I've already come across. So the distance to the sun isn't a flaw in the globe earth model. It's a blind faith belief that's based on an assumption that's never been proven, right? That's not a flaw. It just means that you think it's a fact, but it's not a fact. It's just a blind faith belief, right? And so that's fine. But there's evidence that negates the possibility that the Earth is a globe, right? And I've seen that evidence. And so for me, if you were to bring up one piece of evidence and say, look, this proves the globe, I would say, well, yeah, but what do I do with all these things that disprove the globe?
Yeah.
Right? If I prove, like, yeah. So you would have to find an explanation for all these things.
It would have to be a first-hand observation thing, I think, is what Ollie was pointing to. If Elon turned around and you said, "Look, we've got this fucking well-fast craft. We can get you up there in half an hour back, so you can sit back and look at the Earth." I mean, it's kind of an obvious
That
answer, isn't
wouldn't
it?
work though, right? Then I would be like, well, unless you can explain to me how it is that we can take photographs and video of things that are further away than is possible to see on a globe, unless you can explain to me how we can see lasers across a body of water at a distance that's too far for you to see on a globe. If you bring me up in a space shuttle and say, oh, look, it's a globe, well, I would say, okay, but you still haven't explained to me these other things. So
Yeah,
is it just
explaining other things
right?
first.
So, like,
That's
there's a
more
lie
important than a
somewhere.
new piece of evidence.
Well, it's not even that it's more important. It's that I would say there's a lie somewhere, because this that I know to be true is contradicting what you're showing me. So one of these is a lie. I can replicate taking a photo that's too far. I can take a mirror to the edge of a lake and have you stand on the other side of the lake, and I can shine the light across the lake. Right? That's too far. That on the globe that wouldn't be possible, but it's possible on the flat Earth, and it's what we actually observe. So
Yeah.
I would say, well, are you manipulating what I'm seeing? Is there an LED display in the window? Are you faking what I'm seeing in the window? Because that's possible. Right. And so I would start to question, is Elon Musk just faking what I'm seeing? Because I can't accept that he's showing me this on the shuttle. And
It's a
that I
strange
have
thing.
other stuff,
Like,
right?
yeah, no, I can get that. I mean, I obviously you'll have listened to I know you've probably listened to the Eric Debate stuff just as much as I have. And one of the things that drew me in most of all to the flat Earth stuff, and it's for me. I'm not sure where I am, because it's the same as I don't understand how the lie could go on quite as long as it has done. That's my issue. But to caveat that, I live in the Isle of Man, and one of the big flat Earth proofs that was on Eric DeBay's video was being able to see Holyhead from Douglas Promenade on the Isle of Man. And you can see Holyhead from Douglas Promenade on the Isle of Man. And that's fucking weird. You know, that's not secondhand information. That's like, if I live on the top of Summerhill Road, if anyone wants to come and murder me on the internet. And if I walk 5 minutes down the road, I am at the middle of Douglas Promenade on the Isle of Man. That's where I live. If I look out of there's a window behind this monitor, I can see the sea very, very near if I go upstairs. And the flat Earth stuff that's been brought in that involves the Isle of Man really does wake me up is the wrong word, but it just makes me go, I don't fucking know sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that idea of the why, like, or how could they keep the secret? Like, for centuries, doctors would cut your feet and make you bleed into a little metal bowl in order to cure you of epilepsy. For centuries, up until more recently than we would like to admit, doctors thought that it was dangerously stupid to believe that washing your hands between doing an autopsy on a corpse that had died from some contagious illness and then helping a woman give birth. They thought that the idea that you can somehow transmit illnesses with like these sticky invisible things that would like stick to your hands, so you had to wash them off, like they thought that was absurd. The first doctor to suggest that there were these sticky invisible things that were carrying illness between corpses and mothers being delivered, he proved that he was right, because the babies that were delivered with his doctors who washed their hands in between had a higher a lower rate of mortality. They were less likely to die, and the mothers were less likely to die. They still put him in an insane asylum. They still made him a pariah because they were like, you're crazy. You believe in invisible little sticky things. We can't have that. The idea of washing your hands between patients is just stupid, waste of time, absurd, right? And so we've believed extremely stupid things for really long times. So this idea of like, well,
wouldn't you say that
wrong?
people believed the Earth was flat for a ridiculously long time?
Exactly, right? I don't know. And you know, I want to say something as well.
Earth being round is pretty new.
Well, depends on who you ask. Some people say, you know,
It's really new.
Eratosthenes showed that the sun. He made all
in the grand scheme of things, us having a globe is a lot newer.
Yes.
Than a flat Earth.
Yes, it is a lot newer. So I just think that this idea that I think we shouldn't use what humans, you know, humans are weird and they do weird things and they have weird beliefs. And I don't think we should use that as evidence for if something's true or not. Do people believe it or do they not believe it? I don't know that that's good evidence, right? I think it's more like, well, what is the evidence? Like, what is the information in reality that I can measure and verify and duplicate? I came off as really arrogant earlier, and I did check in chat.
You haven't come off as arrogant in the whole interview. Don't worry about it.
Well, and I just want to say, like, I am a little bit arrogant, and I think having been on YouTube and having to deal with people who are really stupid, who think that they're smarter than you, it's just so aggravating, and I think it makes me a lot more. Like in my normal life, I don't go around telling people I'm in Mensa. I don't, because that would be rude and inappropriate. But on YouTube, I tell people I'm a flat earther and I'm in Mensa, because people have this idea that flat earthers are stupid. And so right off the board, I wanted to kind of knock them off of that misunderstanding, right? And so that's why I say that. And the fact that I don't bother with debates because I can't reason with unreasonable people or with people who don't know how to reason, that I know it sounds bad, but it's true, and I don't have nicer ways of saying it. I'm sorry, chat, but I don't have nicer ways.
I think there's also a situation where debate has turned into argument. Like you get very few debates now. You just get arguments. Like to me, the idea of debate is an exchange of information. There doesn't have to be a winner. There shouldn't have to be a winner.
No, I agree.
Well, and in a debate, in a real proper debate, you should be able to ring a bell and say, okay, now switch sides, and now you're going to debate my side of the argument. I'm going to debate your side of it, and I'm going to be just as persuasive, right? And I'm going to enjoy it just as much. That's a real debate, right?
Like Simon Dan, as much as I like him. I think the guy's probably would never ever debate anybody who's a flat earther.
No, because he's just reading someone else's.
He's done a video about you.
Oh, I know. He's made millions. Like, he has millions of views. There's him and
I don't think he's made millions. He's probably made a few thousand, but not millions.
He has 250,000 views, I think, on the video with me in it. And Professor Stick, I think, has another 250,000 views on his video of me. At one point, I was thinking I should make Orphan Red videos, and
you should make a video if you're so sure of yourself. You should ask somebody you should make a video
or reply to those videos.
Simon Dan, come on a live stream with me, and I will debate the shit out of you.
Well, I was thinking I might do a response video at some point, but like it just seems like a waste of time because then it just drives traffic to his channel.
No, this is what gets my knickers in a twist. I've not wearing knickers, not tonight. Jennifer,
really?
Thank you for the super chat. I do complete experiences I do agree with. Have to deal with so much. I've had so many experiences on the channel, and the genuine experiences I can see I've gone through a hell of a lot. So it doesn't matter what shape the fucking Earth is. 100%, I agree with.
It does.
No, for an experience it doesn't. For an experience. For
Because-
that personal experience, it doesn't.
But it implies design, and also it tells you where the aliens are coming from. Because in a flat Earth, they're not coming from a star billions of years away.
But that
Orphan Red is right. Like the regardless of what you believe, and regardless of what your experiences are, the what's underneath your feet is probably the most important thing you could know.
to the experiences that people have in here, paranormal, what has that got to do with the flat Earth, though?
Well, no, because it makes
Or even our Earth.
Well, because it takes something out, maybe.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
If you were to take space out, for instance, then where the fuck are we? Then maybe it is demons. So then maybe the cure for that sort of thing is going to church and fucking pray into whatever God happens to be the one that designed the place. And that's only going from the, maybe it's the fucking the dome model. It's like maybe that's it. Maybe there is no extra land outside Antarctica. Maybe that's we are it. We are the sole experiment of a creator. At that point, it matters a fucking lot.
Yes, and also I think it matters more philosophically. It's the idea of, are you taking on blind faith fundamentals of your world? And if you are, you should probably be aware of it, because what else are you taking on blind faith? What other fundamental beliefs are you taking on blind faith? And that, I think, is important to know.
I do think if you stand by that, and somebody like Simon Dan makes a video about you, if you stand by those beliefs, and you're saying you don't want to draw attention, he's already got all the attention.
Well, so what I was going to say is,
just bear with me 2 seconds. Then, if you guys stand by your beliefs, then you all need to come at Simon Dan and say, "Come and debate me."
Okay, so there's two things. One, I think it would make better use of my time to make.
No, it wouldn't.
No, you don't. Hold on. To make my own Orphan Red flat Earth videos, and then Orphan Blue debunking Orphan Red and hating Orphan Red, and then I could be my own Simon Dan, and then I could get the 250,000 views on my own channel where I make fun of myself. Like, if I want to expose myself to trolling at that level, why not capitalize on it? And rather than him make $10,000 from the 250,000 views, I can make the $10,000 from the 250,000.
No,
right?
Ollie's right. Ollie's right, because the thing is, especially with YouTube channels, is that people tend to stay within echo chambers. Yeah. Because you get your own like audience. Simon Dan's audience is a pro, not even just pro globe, pro anti flat Earth audience.
Yeah, but like I've had other channels try, because they saw Simon Dan getting 250,000 views on his debunking Orphan Red video. So I've had other channels try to do the same. I had one guy who would play my footage and then say effing idiot, and then play another 13 seconds of my video and then say effing idiot. And that's all he did. And he thought his channel would blow up. And I had this other guy. I had two guys who at the same time hoped their channel would blow up by making these videos about me, and like, they were both really dumb guys. They were just really hoping to make it big with this. They just thought this is the way to do it. If I do a response video to Simon Dan, if I invite Simon Dan to come talk to me on my channel, all I'm doing is encouraging an army of 13-year-olds who are not bright enough to come up with innovative content of their own, who don't have what it takes to make content, to put something out there that's inspiring, that's elevating, that's interesting, that's exciting, that's new. All they can do is tear someone down. That's all.
So the best thing to do
and
then,
you're just encouraging that army of 13-year-olds
no,
to start
no,
up channels.
the best thing, if it was me to do, would be to contact Simon Dan, create a brand new YouTube channel with no viewers, and say, "Come and debate me on this."
Yeah,
come and debate me on this channel.
I think if you stand by something, you have to own it. And
yeah. Then you
there's no way to like he you can't
nobody debates him. Nobody.
Because he makes so much money from his channel
that makes no difference.
That he can't. He will.
No,
he can never admit that he's wrong.
Difference.
No, because if he wasn't wrong,
no.
Third Phase of Moon makes so much money on their channel.
We made fucking idiots of them a couple of weeks ago.
Of who?
Third Phase of Moon. Me and Ollie made fucking idiots of them over here a couple of weeks ago.
You guys are in a big fight with them, hey? What's that all about?
Not me. I don't care. They're just fucking fakers and liars.
Yes. Their fake footage.
Yeah, but like he came on, and to be perfectly honest, I didn't feel well. I'll give all the credit to fucking Ollie. He was fucking on fire that day. Ollie,
brilliant, mate.
Ollie fucking tore them apart. There was no good comeback that could come, and that's because the facts were on Ollie's side.
Has his channel suffered? Has his army abandoned him?
Shouldn't care.
Does it matter?
Shouldn't
matter?
Shouldn't care. I knew my channel. Probably my channel did suffer because I had a lot of Third Phase fans on my channel.
No, but the Third Phase of the Moon, you proved him wrong. But like, did it impact him negatively, or was it just like, okay?
Probably not, but I believe if you're gonna stand by your guns as a flat earther, if you're a flat earther and you've got Simon Dan coming at you, then you need to stand up for yourself. Okay. And because for me, with and Lee with Third Phase of Moon, if I believe something, then I'm gonna fucking stand up for myself.
I will stand up for Ollie here and say, like, because I mean I'll be dead honest, right? I've thought, I don't know. It's Blake and what's the other brother's name?
Brent.
Right. Brent is never allowed to speak to anyone for some reason. I have no idea why. So I have no idea what sort of person that man is. But Blake appears to be a bellend, and I've wanted that to happen for a long time, and I held my fucking tongue on Ollie's channel for fucking ages when they were on, because I thought they were just a bunch of fucking shysters. Okay. And I held my tongue because I knew they were good for Ollie's channel. They were good for him to come on, and I knew they would take sections out. And I to be perfectly honest, I should have been more honest like beforehand. But Ollie risked his own channel calling out the second biggest UFO channel on the internet. It's the, and that's the thing. It doesn't matter at that point if it bothers them.
But I've still not fallen out with them because personally I don't give a shit. I really don't give a shit.
That's the thing. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, Sasha, is if you're so passionate about the subject of flat Earth, and somebody comes at you, like some of my audience have, I've questioned you on it. You've stood up for yourself with me, and I appreciate that. And I think, and I appreciate you for having an adult conversation with us, even though both me and Lee are not flat Earth. Well, Lee might be a little bit, I don't know. We're not flat earthers. Yeah. But we can be friends.
Yes.
Even though we're not flat earthers. I would say to you, you guys should call out Simon Dan. If you believe in this in flat Earth so much, you should.
There's a comment from Truth Seekers you probably want to pop up there. A good comment.
Which one?
Also, I just saw chat Jed Skeptic Media is in the audience. Hello, Jed. But see, here's the thing, Ollie, though. You're interesting. And Lee, you're interesting. So Lee, you're more of a flat earther, a secret. But like Ollie, you're not a flat earther. But I can still have an interesting conversation with you. We can talk about other things. We can talk about flat earth. We can talk about aliens. So it's still fun. Like, this is a fun conversation for me. Okay, you're challenging a little bit on these topics, and that's fun. We can kind of, argue back and forth a little bit, but it's not an argument. It's like a fun exploration of these ideas. So to me, that's valuable. That's a fun time, fun evening spent talking about these ideas. And so, right, you bring something to the table that's of value to me. It's interesting to me. And so it's worthwhile. Simon Dan brings nothing to the table that's interesting to me, because it's just slogans, and it's spiritually empty, and like.
Do you know what? You're probably right, because in the same respect, if we were to do the exact opposite show with Simon Dan, he would probably say, yeah, well, Orphan Red or Mark Sargent or any of the Eric Dubay don't bring anything interesting. They're just wrong. Why would I speak to them?
Okay, I will do a reply video to Simon Dan.
No.
Yes.
But I genuinely meant that on your side there. I genuinely meant that.
I know.
Do you know, you understand where we're coming from, though, Sasha? If you believe in something so much, then it shouldn't matter. You have to fucking stand up for what you believe in.
But
in
like,
life.
I have this terrible autoimmune that is destroying my life. It's sucking all my energy away. Like right now, this is all caffeine and just the adrenaline of interacting with humans, because that's such a rarity for me.
And Ollie's sexual energy, that's all I love.
Oh, of course. Meow. And so this is worthwhile for me to spend my time doing this. This is fun, and it's fulfilling. But I have so little productive time that I can actually use. And this today is going to cost me, right? Like tomorrow is going to be a total write-off, because I've expended all this energy. So my mitochondria tomorrow are just going to be in comatose zone. And so I have to choose how I spend my time very carefully. Right now, I'm really trying to master remote viewing to the best of my ability. I'm really learning as much as I can about remote viewing. And I'm, doing all this different kinds of training and different meetings, and really involving myself in that community. And so to put the amount of time into making, and I'm really slow at editing. It takes me so long, even just to edit the trailer that I did. And I want to do another trailer, Lee, for our second part of your podcast. I have to do a second part for that. But it takes me so long to edit. And so the idea of putting all this time into a response video to Simon Dan, and what's going to happen is I'll get 5,000 views. So I'll make $2 off of it. And then he's going to respond to my response, and he'll make 250,000 views, and he'll make $10,000 off of it.
Oh, no. Right. That I get. That I get is the idea that, because I mean, I've never been lucky enough to be in the position to make. Well, I mean, to be perfectly honest, I think anyone that's lucky enough they can make money out of podcasts or YouTube videos are doing fucking awesomely well. It's anything past a few $100 here, a few $100 there. It's a rarity. And especially there's a podcast I do, which has nothing to do with this sort of stuff, that I do okay from, but it's nothing. Even then, you're talking like tens of thousands of listens for a few hundred $. It's nothing crazy. But I get why you wouldn't want to give somebody that you didn't want to get more ammunition towards you to make more money. I get that. That's what I get.
What do I get out of it? 5,000 views and
5,000 views. He gets 50,000 views on his response, and he'll
get more than that. And half of my views will come from haters. So half of my views will come from trolls. I don't know though. I could be wrong. Jed saying Ollie shilling for Simon Dan. Um,
Jed's been on this channel for quite a long time. He's a good lad, and he's a Scottish lad.
yes.
I watched him take mushrooms and walking around Scotland.
Yes.
He's an interesting chat. I need to get him on. He's a good lad.
Yeah.
He's the type of guy I'd have a beer with.
Wrap the show up, Ollie. I need a wee.
Yeah, I need a wee and all. Yeah. But, all I'm saying there, Sasha, is when you have a belief, you stick up for your beliefs and you call out. If someone calls you out, you call them out. You get your big testicles. You've not got testicles. You get whatever. You put it on a plate and you say, you know what, you can have it. And I tell you something, there'll be nothing negative come to you if you call him out. Far from it. But on that note,
Yeah.
if the people in the audience want to go out and check out Sasha's channel, Orphan Red, it is in the description. And she may even do a video about aliens on the flat earth. That would be interesting.
How would you like that?
I would love that.
I'll think about it.
So it is in the description, Sasha. I'd love to. I would definitely love to get you back on with maybe some other flat earthers. And Lee says it won't happen. I think
if we could get
the NASA guys on,
that will happen. But
it could do.
my friend Paul, that was a righty that was on my podcast. I think he's a huge flat earther. If
we should get a full debate video.
I wouldn't like to leave somebody on their own. I would like to leave Sasha on her own.
No, I think we should even it out and have a grown-up conversation over a couple of glasses of wine or coffee or whatever, and just have a good time without arguing, just to show people that this can happen, that you can have a grown-up conversation and have completely different beliefs to somebody else. That's a good idea.
That's the fucking.
That's the way the world should go.
It's the rest of the world peace. It's not gonna happen.
Well, like this was, I quite enjoyed this. This was fun, and it was a good conversation. And yeah, it's hard to replicate that though, right? Because like we mentioned earlier, a lot of people just react so crazily to flat Earth, so they get really angry, and
it makes views. There we go.
Yeah, I suppose.
But it's the same with the moon landing though. Like or I tell you what, the royal family as well. My dad is a huge royalist and a massive fan of the moon landing. Like I am neither of those things, and it upsets him to the point where I try not to talk about it, especially the royals. I try not to talk to him about it, and he'll bring something up. I go, oh, that's a shame. Did he not die in a car crash? That's a shame. And it's just one of those things. Like we need to
disagree
to the point where we can just fucking disagree on stuff and go
agree to disagree.
Carry on.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that there does need to be that kind of space to do that. But we have to have points in common that bring us together, right? So for us here tonight, we're talking about aliens because it's a topic we all find interesting. And so that's what brings us together. We can disagree about flat Earth and we can explore the points of disagreement, but we still have that common ground. So
there has to be an openness. There has to be a willingness to discuss things. That's
maybe a mutual respect, right? Like I respect you guys. I think you guys are good guys, and I think you're, so.
Thank you. I've enjoyed our conversations together.
Yeah, awesome. But as for doing a group thing, I don't know. It would depend on who's in the group and what kind of vibe there is. But
we'd split the group down the middle. That's what we discussed that prior, but we would definitely I would want it to be very mixed and to have a beautiful conversation that maybe we could come to some sort of, I'm not saying we would come to common ground, but we would understand one another, because I do feel like I understand you, Sasha. I understand I don't have your beliefs, but I understand you, and I can think down that line.
Yes.
Could my mind ever be changed? Probably not. Could your mind ever be changed? Definitely not. Could I be wrong? 100%. Could you be wrong? I believe 100%.
Yeah. I would like to know what all the world leaders were doing in Antarctica. That's one thing we didn't talk about. That I think that's a topic.
Antarctica is a very interesting place.
It really is, and the fact that the world leaders and the religious leaders, right? Because the head of the Russian Orthodox Church also went down to Antarctica, and they all went down in the same kind of 2-year span. So I think that there was something that was going on in that time. And I do think it's people's coming from other places that came from beyond Antarctica. And I think that there was a meeting point there. What do you think it was? What do you think brought all the world leaders and religious leaders to Antarctica all of a sudden in the span of 2 years?
You could next thing you're going to be asking me, what made Adolf Hitler send all those soldiers to Antarctica?
Right.
I have no answers for that.
Do you not? Okay.
Maybe the bell.
The bell. Die Glocke. That one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. But where did that come from? And why was it there?
The spinning Mercury to, like, I think they were trying to get better space travel, but they got time travel instead. Is that where that line of thinking goes?
And then you've got to think of what tipped them off to go there in the first place. The Germans.
What did tip them off?
Who knows what tipped them off?
Wasn't it their research into like the Aryan mythology and the Vedic mythology?
Apparently so.
Right?
Apparently so. But
an Aryan, I don't mean the like white nationalists.
Yeah, no.
I mean like the Persian Aryans. But the Vedic mythology also, right, talks about the different gods that came from faraway lands. And the even in South America, I know that I had not heard about the Amara, but that's one of the things that I learned about in the last few years, that apparently the Maya referred to an earlier race, the Amara, that came, and that they were the ones that built the temples, and that the other tribes ended up moving into them and repurposing them or renovating them, but that initially they were built by a race of people that came from south, that came from the south and came up to do what they did.
I had a German uncle.
Did he go?
No, he just used to say, like, regardless of the horrible things the Germans did, you've got to give them their dues.
Oh, that's terrible. Really is terrible. On that note, and I saw you sneakily go off for a wee, you bastard.
I had to. I had to go.
Yeah,
I had to go and do it.
Yeah, we have gone quite long for an Alien Addict show, nearly 3 hours. So I'm going to say goodnight. God bless. Mind the bugs don't bite. Sasha, your links are in the description. Do you go live on your channel?
I used to. I might do again. I did Sunday live streams for a while, but people, it's not really what they want from me or from.
Oh my God! Go live in the next couple of days and just call the video addressing the UFO community. Boom! There you go. Beautiful. You get an audience right there. Have you got Twitter?
Yes, but don't check out my Twitter. It's a persona. It's a very different kind of persona. It doesn't mesh well. I mean, you can if you want to. I'm very extreme conservative on my Twitter. It amuses me, and it's not Orphan Red, even though that's
Okay, and then you could hashtag UFO Twitter.
Is it extreme conservative Canadian, like slightly left, slightly right of center?
No, I go all out. I enjoy it. I take the persona. Because I think there needs to be pushback. and you can't
Yes.
push back from a reasonable center ground. You have to go a little bit further out to push back with
Because that's what's happened already. That you've already had the overcorrection thing. Is to overcorrect the overcorrection.
Yeah, and so I think the only way to have an impact is to stand a little bit further than you're comfortable standing and push from there. And so that's what I do on Twitter. But if you don't have that context, you might be like, oh my goodness, she's extremely conservative, right? So that's my
Right,
story.
guys. I am gonna
You have to go to the washroom.
I gotta go to Lee, your link is in the description below. What's happening? What's next week's show?
Next week's show is us. Like the
That's
show
a great title.
Yeah, the show we did last night will be up on Patreon on Sunday. It will be out for everybody else on Monday. This show will be out for everybody on next Monday on Musty Audio, I think.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a fucking breaking time is not a good thing for me. I don't understand it. But yeah. There's a fucking podcast there. Like, if you enjoy, if you're still listening to this now, then you don't hate my voice. So go and fucking listen to my podcast and stop being bellends.
And I will do a trailer for the second part of our chat. So
that genuinely one of my favorite podcasts. Like no Musty Audio
fantastic podcast. Yeah,
no Musty Audio podcast has gone 4 hours. Like none of them. Not a single podcast has gone 4 hours, and it was such an easy 4 hours. It was like that's half a fucking day's work for somebody.
I know
that's a long time.
Today was a bit more aggressive, but we were more because we have chat. As soon as you have chat, it changes the dynamic.
It's the worst. It's one of the reasons why I don't want Musty Audio to be live. It's like I like the idea of having a huddle around with some people and just having a conversation about something and then if listeners disagree with it, they can listen to it and they can not listen to it, and then that's it. Them, it's a fucking piece of media that's thrown out into the ether for someone to listen to.
Well, there we go then. Good night, God bless people. Mind the bugs, don't bite. This is Musty Audio.
However, if you don't want me to come on a live stream, I'll come on a live stream with you.
You know, channel. I should invite you both at some point in the next.
I'm there.
Before. Oh, really? Awesome. Okay, before Christmas, hopefully, then I will get you guys on my channel, and we'll do something fun. I'll have.
Oh, you gotta call it Jingle Flat Balls.
What?
No, she's probably not.
What?
Jingle Flat Balls. You know.
I don't even. Those are syllables. I can't string them into words. What?
Like jingle bells, but jingle flat balls.
I'll look into it. Oh, la, la. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the conversation.
You're very welcome.
And chat, thank you for your patience with the flat earther.
Oh, they loved you. They loved you. They'll be there. Trust me. People curious. They're gonna be hounding you now.
It's scared people.
Don't be nasty.
No, but that's what the interesting thing is that certain subjects scare people, and they make people angry.
Yeah,
they're the best conversations to have. Is the conversation that make people angry.
As we say in England, he who dares
wins.
Yeah. Good night, God bless people. Mind the bugs, don't bite. I'm Alien Addict, Musty Audio, and Sasha from Orphan Red. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Oh, I need a wee. I've not even ended the show yet.